Hello and welcome to a special episode of the RWBY podcast. I am Monroeocrity 4 in honor of the Monroe Doctrine going back into effect.
Welcome to a podcast on shipping in a show that has less confirmed relationships present than a Catholic convent. I am Dude. Yeah, we are talking about shipping in RWBY, and one of the things I sort of have been talking about recently since we've been rewatching and bringing the podcast back after supposedly going to be a volume 10, right? A confirmed volume 10 that they're working on. Shipping shipping's weird in any show, right? But I think it is above average interesting / weird in RWBY because a couple of reasons. One, I would say the biggest claim to fame that the RWBY fandom and just RWBY as a show has in general, or one of its biggest claims to fame, is how ridiculous and hilarious and genuinely good a lot of the shipping names are. Like, I would say that the creativity and comedy of the RWBY fandom shipping names is one of the best, if not the best, in any fandom. I will give them credit for that. I do not interact with the RWBY fandom pretty much at all anymore, but man, the shipping names are fucking quality. So that is one thing to mention. The other thing is that despite how popular shipping is in this show, there are like almost no confirmed ships. That's fucking weird. But we've done 2 of these podcasts before. This is the 3rd that we've done, but a lot has changed because we haven't done a shipping podcast since after volume 6. So volume 7, 8, and 9 have happened since the last time we did a shipping podcast. And in terms of years that have passed since we've done a shipping podcast, it's been 5 years probably, Media?
6 or 7. Volume 6 was 2019, I want to say.
Oh God. Okay, so yeah, you're right. 6 to 7 years. My goodness. Okay, holy crap. So it's been a minute since we've done a shipping podcast. So yeah, a lot of the stuff that we're going to say, especially me, I've said before, but this is a very specific thing. It's Valentine's Day. That's not when we're recording this, but that's when it's going to come out or around that time. So yeah. It's appropriate. And
that's why we're doing it now, to kind of put it into perspective for you guys. I'm almost done editing the Volume 1 retrospective podcast. We just recorded the Volume 3 retrospective podcast. In the future, after all of this stuff is out, I will probably have this earlier on. I will probably have this in the playlist before the retrospectives. Even though the Volume 1, at least the Volume 1 retrospective will be out before this one is. I don't know. Kind of depends on how I'm feeling, on what I want to edit. And I like doing videos for Valentine's Day. I didn't really have any other ideas for a Valentine's Day special other than just talking rom-coms with Dude and talking RWBY Ships on here, just the 2 of us, because we actually are bizarrely invested in some of the shit more so than our cohorts, who generally just don't really give a shit about this stuff outside of just making memes about it.
I am just reminding people that Media and I do have 3 specific romance, Japanese media / manga or light novel and anime podcasts that we will record, okay? We will do one on Alya, on Roshidere, one on Quintessential Quintuplets, and one on Uzaki-chan Wants to Hang Out. The thing is, the other reason why we're doing this is there are actual updates. Things have changed. Volume 7, 8, 9 definitely has changed a lot of stuff. Some ships more than others. There are some new ships that have sprung up. There are some that have been helped recently. There are some that have been greatly hurt recently.
The most popular BL ship of this entire fandom was introduced and fucking died in the span that it took us to do another shipping podcast.
Yeah, exactly. So we do have to talk about that for sure, and we will. So let's start off with, we're not really doing it in an order specifically, although I do think some of the most popular and original ones I'm trying to leave up at the top for us to discuss first, but there's definitely some important or popular or funny ones at the end that I want to mention, that we want to talk about as well. So the first one is one that technically has no chance of happening, but is super fucking popular: White Rose. I swear I see more White Rose art than anything else, man. It's crazy.
With White Rose, it's all about the vibe. It's all about the like bubbly, energetic, goofball, gremlin girl and the cold-hearted, stuck-up, no-nonsense girl who smiles at her nonsense. This is a very popular dynamic, but it's also a popular dynamic that I kind of wonder how much of it is RWBY's influence. Because I don't remember this being nearly as prevalent pre-RWBY as it has been post-RWBY. Like, Little Witch Academia has a very similar dynamic with its main two characters, Akko and Diana, which, if you'll recall, I had as my number one ship in any fandom, was Akko and Diana. And they have a very similar kind of vibe. And I believe that show came out like 2014, 2015. So after RWBY, I think the OVA may have come out before that, but the OVA didn't really do much with Akko and Diana together. So like, I don't think the people at Studio Trigger watched RWBY and were like copying their homework no more than I think Kohei Horikoshi was doing the same around that same time. I just think it's really weird that RWBY kind of happened on a lot of different ideas, not just shipping related, but just in general, a lot of ideas before a lot of other bigger, better, more popular, and much, much better written shows came about and did the same thing. You know, the My Hero Academia is the big one that I always go back to. My Hero Academia's manga did not start until Volume 2 was coming out.
And that's actually ended, technically.
Yeah.
And RWBY's still going somehow.
Going like 4 years between Volumes 9 and 10 is,
That's true. That's true. But still, I mean, it is still technically going. Now, White Rose, I get it. Like, I don't know if I've ever been against White Rose. I'm certainly not now, having, again, doing all the recent rewatches that we've been doing over the past few months. I've watched the show a lot. No, I totally get it. Like, their dynamic was really fun in volumes 1 and 2 and even 3. Like, the way they played off each other, the way they started off as, like, antagonistic relationship because of how different they were. It is a bit of, like, opposites attract sort of thing that people would like about it. They do look good together. Like, you can, if you're just drawing them together, which is a big part of the fan art for it. Yeah, I mean, I completely fucking get it. It's funny, there's another ship that is really popular in another fandom based off a very similar, not very similar, but a semi-similar dynamic, which is in Bocchi the Rock, Bokita is like the most popular ship by far, which is Bocchi, the timid, ultra introverted guitar player, with the super bubbly, outgoing, the lead vocalist of the band Kita, or Ikuyo technically, but she hates her first name. Anyway, that's the most popular ship and the most drawn ship for that fandom. And I guess it's a little more different because it's shyness, but yeah, I can see a lot of those ideas of like the peppy, more outgoing person bringing something out of the more reserved, quiet person, I think is a very popular thing. So I can see why these kind of ships tend to get such huge traction.
Yeah, it also helps that RWBY and Weiss both just ship very well. It's odd because RWBY never shows attraction to anyone. She never seems to be like, the closest thing we get to that sort of thing is with Penny in the Atlas Saga.
Yeah, which we will talk about.
That's the closest thing we get to RWBY being like romantically entangled with any character, even though she is a very romantic person, but in the classic sense. She is all about, like, the rose-tinted glasses romanticism of being a huntress, and she wants to be the hero, the Prince Charming, saving Princess, maybe Jean, maybe Weiss, maybe Penny from the...
maybe Crescent Rose.
maybe whoever. But she's always kind of come off as very ace-coded to me, especially in the Atlas Saga.
Oh, especially in the Atlas Saga, yeah.
Which is, again, odd because of the whole Penny situation, but, like, she's very tomboy, but still very girly, which makes her just perfect. She looks perfect no matter who she's standing next to. She is just that kind of gorgeous, that kind of wholesome gorgeous. And Weiss is in a similar boat, wholesome gorgeous. Weiss also looks good with pretty much anyone, and unlike RWBY, has actually shown romantic interest in people. In fact, she is, to my reading, to my understanding, the most straight character in the show.
Yeah, I would agree with that, actually, which is...
This is why I can never, like, get fully behind White Rose, as fucking adorable as it is, as much as I do love the fan art. Shippers, keep that fan art and keep those fan fictions coming, because even though I don't ship it, I still consume it. It's like... Yeah,
I'll still partake in it, yeah.
It's the McDonald's of RWBY ships. I fucking hate it, it's disgusting, but I eat it at least once a week.
Okay, I disagree with that. It's better than McDonald's, okay? But... That's a little unfair to the White Rose artists. The White Rose artists do too good of a job to be compared to McDonald's. At least give them In and Out.
We don't have In and Out here.
Okay, fair enough.
Culver's.
You have Culver's. Culver's is good. Culver's is good, man. But yeah, no, I mean, it's good. I get it. It's harmless. You know what I mean? I don't have anything against it at all. It would be a little out of left field if it happened. It would be very out of left field if it happened.
It would just be out of left field if Weiss ended up with a girl because of how little interest she's shown in the fair sex. Compared to her being kind of a little boy crazy, at least in Volume 2.
If they had started teasing it at some point, or they start teasing it, and then it happens, I'm not going to complain. I know some people will because like another lesbian ship. I'm like, I don't give a shit. If they can make it make sense, I would not complain. I do like the dynamic. I like them together. I actually, if anything, I wish they interacted more in the more recent volumes. They haven't as much as I would like to, even just platonically. Like I liked at least started off building their relationship earlier on. Yes, they dropped the ball, but we talked about that. But I do like their characters together. I got nothing against this one, man. If you're a right Rose shipper, best of luck to you, man. You know, I don't see it happening, but I'd be cheering for you if it happened.
Wheel of debauchery, turn, turn, turn. Tell us the ship that we shall spurn.
The next one is one that we have to talk about because it got confirmed since the last time we did a shipping podcast. And boy, is this one controversial. It's Bumblebee. Oh boy. This one was, oh my god. This one is... Okay, so
we just watched Volume 4 together, and so my hatred of Blake has peaked again, even though, like, I know after we get through Volume 5, it's all uphill from there for her.
Besides her hair and her outfit designs.
Blake gets shipped with so many people, and, like, canonically shipped. That's a weird thing about RWBY, is how few characters, like, we just talked about how Weiss has never shown any interest in girls, which is totally fine, and totally cool. There's a lot of characters that haven't shown any genuine interest in anybody. And it's not just RWBY. RWBY's the big one, but there are other characters. There's a lot of one-sided romance stuff in shows like this, but there's not as much of it here. And a lot of it is just, I think, people reading way too into things. And things that are, like, super platonic, but shippers like to, like, latch onto table scraps and crumbs and then generate whole fucking genres of fan art based around it. Obviously, this is not one of them. They're canonically together now, and it was kind of a long time coming. But like I said, Blake gets shipped with a lot of people, and I don't fully understand any of them because I don't like Blake. I never fully understood the appeal of Blake, so I can't really 100% get invested in any of the ships involving her, even though, like I said, there's a lot of them, and there's a lot of them that get fucking jack shit. I think we're gonna mention all the, like, Team RWBY inter-team ships.
Yes, I have them all.
There's a lot, and this isn't even really my favorite Blake ship within this team, from, like, an aesthetic standpoint. I do like it, though. Like, they are cute together in Volume 9. They're really cute together in the Justice League crossover. I don't like how this ship was executed throughout Volumes 7 and 8.
Or even Volume 6 to a degree.
Yeah, like, I don't like how much it distracted from the other more important things going on and the other more interesting dynamics that could have been fleshed out more.
While also not adding to their relationship enough at the same time. That's the other thing.
Yeah, not adding to their relationship. Like, they're completely stagnant in Volume 7 and 8. The only development is actually a regress. Like, it's not a progression of their character, it's a regression because Yang is all pissy that Blake is on Team RWBY and not Team Yang during the team split, which takes up a lot of that volume.
It does. There's a lot of, I mean, that whole thing where Yang is more upset, and I mean, we talked about this before, the scene where she's talking to Jean and she said, and Jean's like, oh, don't worry, RWBY will understand, and Yang says, yeah, right, RWBY, because she wasn't thinking about RWBY, she was thinking about Blake, which makes no fucking sense. And again, I am Bumblebee shipper. I've been a Bumblebee shipper since at least Volume 3. So 10 years ago now, is it basically? Okay. Been a Bumblebee shipper for 10 years, man. Haven't wavered on that. But that's still bullshit. Like, there's no reason for her to be worrying about Blake at that point. There was nothing that happened between them during that time period before that would suggest that Blake is upset at her or annoyed or anything. Like, bro, like, this doesn't even make sense. Like, and it would be fine if they address the fact that she's being hysterical, because she is being, or unreasonable, or just stupid, honestly. Like, I won't even say hysterical, because hysterical is more like energized, right? She's not really being like that. But just like being that dumb, like, it doesn't make sense. And if they had addressed that, then sure, okay, then we could have gone with something from there. But they didn't. It was just, she's thinking about Blake being upset based off of literally nothing. And of course that's going to piss people off because that's bad writing. Like, that's just straight up bad writing, romance or not. It made no fucking sense. And like, as a Bumblebee shipper, I would agree it made no fucking sense. The thing is, like, this ship is probably the most controversial ship because, and we'll just, you know what, let's just talk about Black Sun next to it, right? Like, because Black Sun,
I wanted to bring this comparison, an Alia comparison.
Okay, go for it. Please, any.
If Masachika were to ever compromise his love of Yuki, Alia would never forgive him. If Blake was a better person and a better character, she would be quite upset with Yang for being mad about RWBY about all this stuff.
Well, I mean, that's a whole nother thing because Masachika and Alia are much, much, much better people than Yang and Blake are. Like, it's not even fucking close. Like, they're both vastly superior human beings. Well, they're, fictional characters, you know what I mean? But like, morally, they are both much better characters than either Blake or Yang by a wide margin. It's not even close. But yeah, I agree with that, and that would make a good example of that. But yeah, like, Bumblebee is one of the things that's funny is like people who hate Bumblebee will say like, oh, it was rushed, and then the Bumblebee shippers are like, how could you possibly say it was rushed? It took 9 volumes. It's like, you're both wrong. You're both wrong. And the thing is that what Black Sun shippers and anti-Bumblebee shippers are pointing out is that it's not rushed, but it feels rushed. And I'm saying this as a Bumblebee shipper. It felt rushed because you had arguably some romantic coding from Yang's angle in Volume 2. Arguably some romantic coding from Yang's angle in Volume 3. Definitely some romantic coding from Yang's angle in Volume 4, as we just watched Volume 4 together last night with Sock. And I was saying, like, there's no, and I'll talk about it in the Volume 4 retrospective.
There's no heterosexual explanation for this bullshit.
Yes, there's no heterosexual explanation for how Yang is feeling when she's talking about like Blake leaving her and all that stuff. Or maybe we talked about that already at the end of the Volume 3. Maybe it was at the end of Volume 3 we already talked about that. But that's definitely, like, at least from Yang's perspective, there's romantic feelings. There's no doubt, I think. It doesn't make it confirmed, but that was definitely a thing. Blake, we don't really get much from her angle until Volume 6, honestly. Like, even Volume 5, I don't remember anything that was like romantically coded towards Yang at that point. So, sure, you get some stuff from Yang for 2.5 volumes on and off for a bit. You definitely get some romantic coding from Blake starting in Volume 6. No doubt about it. That's when the ship really starts to take off, is in Volume 6. But even in Volume 6, you get a couple of really big moments, and that's it. You get the stuff that happens near the beginning, like on the train when Blake's trying too hard to be protective. You have the moment, which this moment I really do love, in the farm during the apathy episodes, when Blake is, again, trying to like kind of baby Yang a little bit and like trying to make up for what she did, and Yang does not like that. And you can see there's romantic coding at that point for sure. But then nothing happens again with that at all until we get to the Atom fight. And again, the Atom fight I think is very good, and I think it is very strong for their relationship. But going from nothing on Blake's end to the little bit we see at the beginning of Volume 6 to then the end of Volume 6, Blake's end of this relationship is extremely rushed. There's no fucking other way to put it. Like, there's other ways to put it, but you can't argue that, like, Blake's feelings were slow burn developed. Absolutely not, because they don't, the writers did not display that. They did not write that. They did not show that at all.
There's not really an arc there for either of them.
No, that's the problem.
Like, none of them, like, have their feelings change. It's just kind of like with the song from Volume 9, Worthy, where, like, it's just about the feeling of falling in love.
Which is a great song.
Which is fine, like, that happens. Yeah, like, that could be relatable, but, like, that's not a story. Or at least it's not a story worth telling. If you're going to do that, you might as well have them get together off screen after Volume 6.
Or just do it quicker. Like, it didn't need to be, but Volume 7 and 8, like, they're very stagnant. And I think the most damning thing about Worthy, and when they actually get together in Volume 9, is the lines that Blake and Yang say to each other on the bridge are completely inaccurate. What they say to each other is bullshit. Like, basically none of that is true. Like, it's all just like inflating each other's egos. Like, I should look up the transcript if I can find of like what they fucking say to each other in that scene. But like, it's dumb. It doesn't make sense. Like, I just remember that, like, I was like, what are you saying? And the most damning thing is that Worthy, Casey, who wrote the song, Casey and Martin Gonzalez, who wrote the song, or I'm just gonna say assume Casey wrote the lyrics. Okay, Casey writes these lyrics, and they're actually very good lyrics, and it's all about the feeling of falling in love and that security and like letting just giving into it. It's a beautiful song. It's one of my favorite songs from the RWBY soundtracks. Period. Even media kind of came around on it more recently, which is cool. I was glad to see that. Casey made the right decision to just write about like a general feeling of falling in love. And it's damning that that was the right decision. The fact that she did not have enough to speak more specifically to the characters, that's bad. Like that sucks. That's a problem. And the fact that the writers themselves, when they were trying to get Blake and Yang to compliment each other on the bridge, and none of what they say makes sense to each other. Like, also the other thing is like when you like fall in love with somebody, it's not about like all the things that are perfect about them. Like you see couples that have been in love forever, like most of the stuff that they talk about are like they will talk about like flaws as positives. You know what I mean? That's kind of like a stereotypical but true thing. As somebody who was in a relationship for almost 2 decades, like that is something you notice is like stuff that like a lot of people would see as a flaw or a problem or annoying, you find cute or you love that about them, right? They don't do any of that with Bumblebee, like nothing like that. And all the positive things they try to say are not accurate. So that really makes it ring very, very fucking hollow, unfortunately. And I'm not saying this to say that Bumblebee sucks. I'm sure if there's any Bumblebee shippers listening to this, like, I just wanted better for this ship because I think it could have been done better, especially with some of the groundwork that they laid. I think a lot of the people that ship Bumblebee really, really liked the groundwork of burning the candle, which I agree, I do. Really like the groundwork of what happened to Yang in Volume 3, her being abandoned. Like that kind of conflict makes for an interesting relationship and how to rebuild that. And they don't even rebuild that connection in an interesting way. Blake just kind of gets forgiven. And like the issue then just becomes her pitying Yang too much rather than why is Yang not still more upset about her leaving? Like they don't delve into any of that and how, Yang already has abandonment issues. Like how did Blake get forgiven that easily for abandoning her after somebody who already has very legitimate, by the way, abandonment issues? What the fuck? That doesn't make any goddamn sense. So it's not a well done relationship at all. It's unfortunate. I'm glad they at least confirmed it. I think it's better that they confirmed it than not confirming it because, again, it makes no sense how few romantic pairings there are in the show. There's a big complaint that I have. Like, if you were just not going to do relationships, fine. But that's clearly not what they are doing with this show, right? Like, I'm fine with stuff like Bochi, where like technically there's no in the action. You watch the show, you read the manga, which I have. I'm fully caught up on both. There's no teases of romance at all, right? Okay, fine. There's no problem. I have no issue with that whatsoever.
Same thing with One Piece, where like you'll have a couple characters that are like thirsty for other characters. You'll have like the occasional horn dog, and also Sanji, who is a big horn dog. But like none of the crew are ever like teasing a relationship like that. Like Luffy is super ace coded. Like Luffy literally walks in on the most beautiful woman in the shower, Boa Hancock, canonically the most beautiful woman in the entire One Piece world, has her like thirsting after him, hardcore horny for him, and Luffy is just like, thanks for the food, bye. You're nice, thank you for the ship. Thank you for the ride.
If you're going to set stuff up like that, then fine. I'm happy to watch shows like that. No problem. But if you're going to set up a show where there's clearly romance teased and talked about and very much involved throughout the series, which this show has, and also just more realistic for this situation. Again, this is a world where people die a lot and you got to have a lot of kids. Like, it just factually, humanity would not survive without that, so this doesn't make sense. Then they should be doing a better job. So it's better that they confirmed it than they didn't. It just could have been done a lot better than it was. That's my issue with it. And the biggest thing is that, like, Black Sun definitely had more actual development over the time, especially those 2 volumes where they were together, volumes 4 and 5. As bad and awful as Blake was in volumes 4 and 5, like there is so much more that happens that feels more like building an actual relationship between Blake and Sun than there is between, Blake and Yang later on. So I think if you're a Bumblebee shipper, like you have to understand, are there people that probably hate the ship just because it's a lesbian ship? I'm sure there are, but let's be honest, most of the people that hate it, that is not the reason why they...
Even the people that hate it on that grounds, like, that's kind of unavoidable, because there are so many instances, and I'm not saying RWBY's one of them. In fact, I think RWBY's very genuine with its representation and what it's trying to do. I think their hearts are in the right place when it comes to that.
I would agree with that, yeah.
There are a lot of things where it is very clearly just a marketing ploy, or where it's very clearly just a decision in order to, like, grab a headline. Especially in Disney. Like, we've seen a lot of this shit with Disney where they'll be like, oh, this is the first ever confirmed gay character who is also middle-aged and black and teaches kindergarten and in a Pixar movie. Like, they just keep splitting these goddamn hairs until they get something that's worth a headline, and none of it is. And then it turns out that that scene got cut in the overseas release.
Yeah, because they don't actually care about it. Like, if you're going to care about your fucking representation, then fucking care about your representation. I think it's very obvious, yes, to me, that the RWBY writers and RWBY, the showrunners, they do genuinely care about this. And I mean, you can see, like, the fucking voice actresses, like, have been shipping a lot of these, like, fucking these gay ships for a fucking minute. Okay, they genuinely like ship these things.
Barbara Dunkelman and Aaron Zek are massive Bumblebee shippers, especially since towards the end of Rooster Teeth's life cycle, Barbara was like the community manager. It makes me wonder like how much of it was her influence, her like pestering Miles and Carrie to make it canon.
Yeah, and honestly, the thing is, if you're a Bumblebee shipper and people make that point, you have to understand that's not confirmed, but like that's a legitimate like point that can be made, honestly, because it is been proven that the writers listen to fans too much. We know that.
And listen to their friends. Like film is a collaborative medium. Like if it was Barbara's idea, then who cares? It was Barbara's idea. So it was still Miles and Carrie who had to like write it down.
I mean, to that point, we literally just saw like a couple months ago the whole Jeff and Monty discussion at breakfast, where it turns out at that point Monty didn't really give a shit if Renora became a thing. Like, at all. He was literally asking Jeff, what do you think? Like, not even, that is literally what he asked him. He's like, hey, Jeff, what do you think, man? Should I get these two characters together? I don't know. That's crazy, you know? So that is how things go sometimes, and that's okay. I think a lot of the Bumblebee shippers, like, again, I've tried to watch some of the videos from, like, Bumblebee fans' perspective, and they're all terrible, honestly. They're not good. Like, they'll make some good points here and there, but then they'll make a bunch of awful points, like, talking about how like Bumblebee was planned from the start. It wasn't that solidly planned from the start. I doubt it, man. Especially after hearing what Monty says. I don't think Monty planned almost any of his shit like that from the start. I really don't think so. And the thing is, that's okay. Like, you don't have to make that argument. You don't have to be saying like it is any of this stuff. Like, it's confirmed. You don't even need to try to make arguments in that way. I wish it was done better because I still liked the pairing as much as now I don't really like either character, but I liked it from Yang's abandonment issue side of things and how she was like, I from Yang's side, when Yang was a better character, I liked the ship. And I am a very loyal person that really sticks with my stuff. So when I picked, I liked Bumblebee. So even when I started liking Yang a lot less as a character, I still shipped it because that was one of my ships. I guess we go to Black Sun now because that was the other one. Like I kind of already said, Black Sun had a hell of a lot of development and it was looking good for a while. And I still have said that I was honestly disappointed that it didn't happen, even though I technically never shipped it. I still don't. I certainly wasn't against it because there was a lot going for it. I've made the joke about, I don't know if I wrote this down on like my script that it was, who is Sun? Sun is this blonde, energetic, buff guy that has a crush on Blake that Blake then randomly dumps so she can date this blonde, energetic, buff girl. Like the basic similarities between Yang and Sun on a superfluous level it's very high. Like, it's kind of funny that those are the two rival ships when there's so much similarity between the two. But I thought they worked well. I thought Sun was a good supportive person. He was a good friend. The biggest problem I had was how they ended it when he was just told Neptune's like, oh, it was never about that. Bull fucking shit. To quote a wise man from the Midwest, there's no platonic explanation for what Sun did. You know, you do not follow.
There is no homosexual explanation for Sun.
Yeah, there is no platonic explanation for you chasing a girl that you've already shown romantic interest in throughout the entire series so far. He was romantically interested in Blake for the first 3 volumes, very clearly. The writer's trying to come up with a platonic explanation for him chasing her halfway around the fucking planet, as tiny as of a planet as Remnant seems to be. It doesn't fucking matter, man. You don't do that unless you want to hit it, okay? There's no, or date it, whatever you want to say, right? There's no fucking reason to do any of that stuff. So that was very frustrating. That was like, look, if something actually happened where he saw that it wasn't going to happen, or she just turned him down, or anything besides what they wrote was, because it's just like, nope, we're not doing this anymore. It's like, well, then why were you teasing it? What was the point? What did we get out of this then? That's the thing I don't understand. So I weirdly sympathize with Black Sun shippers more than I sympathize with Bumblebee shippers, even if I am a Bumblebee shipper, because logically it makes no sense based off of what happened for them to just drop it the way they did. I'm not saying was it a better ship? I don't really even care. It was not perfectly done either, because Blake was so fucking insufferable and treated Sun like garbage, honestly, pretty much the entire time. It wouldn't necessarily be a great ship either. God damn, it had more evidence for a very long time.
Them parting ways should have been a more like, we need to be with our teams, and whatever happens, happens. Like, kind of just break things off amicably. I just really feel like they're doing Sun dirty, and they're going to continue doing him dirty whenever the series picks back up. So I feel like they're going to make him, like, way more gung-ho supportive of Bumblebee than he probably should be. He should be supportive, like, because that's the kind of guy he is. You know, he's not going to, he's a good-looking dude. He'll bounce back. But there should be some regret. Man, Neptune was right. I really did drop the ball here. Pining for what could have been. That's more compelling, and it would also, like, further solidify that Blake and Sun did have a thing, because, like, she did kiss him on the cheek in Volume 6 as they parted ways. Something that I kind of appreciate about this show is that it is willing to have people fall out of love. We don't see that a whole lot, because we don't see a whole lot of people falling in love in the first place.
That's a problem.
Obviously, like, mileage varies on what you constitute as falling and not falling. We'll talk about a couple of the ships as we go further. Like, just the idea of, like, having romantic entanglements with someone and then just falling away and ending up with someone else. That's something a lot of anime aren't really willing to do, because we so very rarely see the entire scope of someone's love life in a show's context. Like, American sitcoms do it quite a bit, but that's because of the revolving door of actors and actresses that come and go off of series like Cheers or How I Met Your Mother or Friends, with the on again, off again, will they, won't they bullshit that those shows employ all the time.
It's just different types of tropes too. Like, that's that's kind of the more American Western trope versus some of the tropes in Japanese, romance writing. So
yeah, like in a lot of anime, a lot of rom-com anime, the focus is entirely on them getting together, and then they get together, and then time skip to them having kids, and then that's it. And there's not really any.
If you even get that, you got to get lucky to even get that time skip, man.
This is one of the reasons why harem shows are so popular, because harems get that multiple choice angle. We're like, ooh, which one is it going to be? We could tease this. We could go back and forth with a couple different characters here and kind of just see how things play out. Or something like Alia or My Dress Up Darling. There's not really anything that makes me question whether or not the main characters are going to get together. It's all just character development, interesting hijinks, funny gags, and like a single overarching character arc for each of the leads that gets them to that point.
I mean, that's one of the things that was better about Kaguya-sama, is like in Kaguya-sama, they get together. I forget how many total chapters there were of Kaguya-sama.
It's like 2/3. I remember looking.
They get together like 2/3 of the way through it, which is like, compared to a lot of other manga, that's earlier than a lot of them, and they actually have stuff to do later on. Like, there's some drama. It's not between them as a couple, it's between, literally Kage gets kidnapped by her own fucking family, and Miyuki has to just be like a fucking badass Chad and like basically save her from her own family, and he does, and it's fucking epic, and it's my favorite arc of the whole series, which of course that's what they have skipped in the update. They just released the fucking little special that they did. Interestingly, though, they do give us a time skip in that one that they did that the author did not give us in the manga. Like, there is a time skip ahead where they're still together. I think they're married in like an apartment that did not exist in the manga. So I do like that, but they skipped like what I thought was the best arc of the entire fucking series, where like Miyuki has to be like a fucking superhero and save Kaguya, and he does. It's fucking awesome. But they skipped it in the anime. Anyway, or like Horimiya was a very popular one for a while, partly because they get together real quick.
Yeah, Horimiya I would almost put in the same category as like a Shikimori, where the bulk of the story is just the shenanigans of being a couple. And everything leading up to them confessing is just prologue.
Yeah, and I'd say Horimiya is like that too.
Like in Shikimori, in chapter 1, they've been dating for like 3 months. And then we get flashbacks later on. Like I want to say it's like chapter 20 or whatever, we get the flashback of how they started dating. Because it's their 1-year anniversary.
Oh, that's cute. Yeah. Do you still... Is that one's still being updated, right?
No, that one's over. That one's been over for a while.
That one ended.
The mangaka is the guy doing Nakinagi now. Nakinagi's very, very good, very cute, another one that has the Weiss Ruby type dynamic.
What was the final ending for Shikimori? Did they do a time skip at all?
They do a time skip, but they're in college and getting ready to move in together. The final chapter is like them buying furniture for their new place.
So, yeah, I would have liked something a little better. But anyway, that was literally my decision. Am I going to read this or not? We'll see. Next, then, do we want to go the next?
Sure.
Arcos, dead. Renora,
dead.
Fuck you. Fuck you for being right about that. That's the worst part. No, what's funny is like official like RWBY Twitter account. I do follow that. Like most of all my Twitter follows are in Japanese, except for like RWBY, because I want to know, hey, you guys are gonna give us actual updates or release actual figures for fuck's sake. But like I want to know like if they're actually when the show will actually come out. So I do follow that. They tweeted something Renora related, and my first thought, and I did it. My first thought was like, then why'd you guys fuck it up? Volume 8. Like, so whoever's running the account, like, Viz is probably still expecting, I don't know, but I don't have time to complain about Renora as much as I want to. I've said everything. I'll still do a quick version of it, like, because we just watched through volumes 1 through 4, right? Together, the last 2 together specifically. Me, Media, and Sock. And it's like, especially in volume 4, they're so good. The Kuriuri arc and Ren's, almost getting himself killed, fighting the Nuklave, Nora saving his ass. That whole arc is so fucking good. It is such a great love story to see that, man. It is so well done. Nora's they both have such a shared tragic backstory. They were there for each other. Like, they've gone through shit that's worse than honestly pretty much any of the other characters. You think Ruby's got a tragic backstory? She does. You think Yang's got a tragic backstory? She does. You think Weiss has a tragic backstory? She does. You think Blake's got a tragic backstory? She doesn't. But none of those hold a candle to what Ren and Nora went through. Are you fucking kidding me? Shit. At least Yang and Ruby have a dad who's actually a pretty good guy. Ren and Nora don't have that. Not at all. Like, fuck, that is insane. Like, what did they have to do to, like, survive together? That's insane. Like, that is such a great basis for a relationship. And to throw the wrench in it that they did is beyond infuriating, and it makes no goddamn sense. And especially, like, we're going back and watching through especially the first 4 volumes. And it's like, what about Nora here is overly reliant on Ren? What about Nora here doesn't know who she is without Ren? She is the lead in everything. She wears the boots in that relationship, okay? Because obviously she doesn't wear pants. She only wears skirts. But she wears the pants in that relationship very clearly. And that's okay. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. That's like Ren's personality. He's not going to be the guy bossing her around or telling her what to do, man. Like, that's not going to happen. So the fact that she has friends aside from Ren, she has a personality. Her personality is so much better defined than his. And it is not reliant on anything that he does or says. Like, yes, they've been there for each other, like, as friends, and clearly she's been into him for a long time, but, like, it just doesn't make sense for her to suddenly, out of nowhere, be like, I don't know who I am without you. And it's like, yeah, you guys have, like, relied on each other, like, literally, but, I mean, that's not a bad thing. You would have died otherwise. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, so this is something that, like, it kind of dawned on me as we were watching Volume 4 last night. And seeing just the amount of teamwork that they put in during the Nuklave fight, is like, why is it an issue that Nora is reliant on Ren? Like, even she's not, but like, even if she was, so what?
That's what relationships are.
They're huntsmen. They're in a dangerous line of work, allegedly. They are on a team for that reason. They rely on each other. Like, that's the lesson that Blake and Yang learn in Volume 6. Like, I'm not protecting you, you're not protecting me, we're protecting each other, yada yada. Ren and Nora have already been doing that since they were, like, 10. Why is it an issue now? Like, again, like, it's gotta be one of the two.
It's gotta be Kiersey. I'm sorry. I'm not, okay, this is not a fact. I do not know this for sure, but my very, very 99.99999% headcanon. And if I'm wrong, I will gladly own up to this. First of all, it's got to be one of the new writers.
There's no way to prove it either way, because they could just fucking lie.
Yes, exactly. They could. What Nora is doing, and I'm the most left-wing guy on this podcast, but what they did to Nora screams of angry blue-haired liberal writing. Because a conservative woman, or even a politically neutral woman, or politically neutral man, or even a liberal guy would never write Nora the way they ended up writing her. Like, or maybe not even politics. It could just be somebody very, very scorned by love. This just feels very personal. This feels like a vendetta against something doesn't have to do with Nora. Like, it feels vindictive in a way. So it could be the political side. I think it could be just like somebody had a bad experience in romance and felt like they lost themselves in a person or whatever, and they're just taking it out on Nora, and they're like, wait a minute, this is bad. When no, it's not. Like, a good, healthy relationships are like, one of the main points of a marriage is like, you're supposed to be able to rely on the person when you need to. Like, you're both supposed to be there for each other. Like, there's a saying, like, if a relationship is 50-50, it's gonna fail. Like, a relationship should be 70-70 or like 90-90. You know what I mean? You should always be feeling like you're giving more. You should never be trying to balance it out to 50-50. You should always be trying to give 100% of yourself and do as much as you can for the other person. That's why relationships are hard. It's not a bad thing to need to rely on people sometimes. Because here's the thing, whether or not it's a romantic relationship, motherfucker, we're humans. We are social animals. People have done experiments where they've tried to live off in the wild on their own. And how do you think that usually tends to go for people? Spoiler alert, not very fucking well. Okay? Does not go well. We need social interaction. We need other people. Even if you're like the biggest fucking hikikomori shut-in person, you still talk to people online. That's still technically a form of human interaction. Like, people need other people. You need somebody else. So it's fucking stupid to be like, oh, I need to know who I am. Like, dude, she already, and it just, none of it makes sense. She already knows who she is. She already has a more defined personality than him. To act like she's relying on him too much is just so fucking stupid. It's like, you guys literally are like, you're one of the best fighters in the show. And you were one of the most, she was one of the most confident people in the show. One of the most emotionally intelligent up to this point. And all of a sudden it's like, no, we're going to throw all that away because one of our writers either thinks this is politically bad. Like, just like, oh, this is bad. Like, the woman's relying on the man too much. Or, I was hurt by a relationship that I got sucked in too much to I lost myself in the other person. That's a bad thing. You shouldn't do that, fellow, even guys or girls, right? Don't lose yourself in somebody else. Like, yeah, no shit, but she never lost herself in Ren. She always had a personality. Like, her personality is not Ren. Ren's personality is Nora, if anything. That's the other thing that pisses me off, is it's the opposite. If there was going to be somebody that felt like their world was too divined by the other person, it would have made more sense for Ren to make that complaint than Nora. And that's the part where it's like, this is so dumb especially because, like I said, what they did to build them up was so good. Writing that relationship, the backstory of Kuriyuri, that whole backstory, and how that moment when Nora tackles Ren and literally slaps some sense to him, is crying, telling him, do not kill yourself, I can't lose you. Like,
she never says, I can't lose you. She's like, I won't let you kill yourself.
Yeah, I won't let you kill yourself. It's like, technically, would Nora be able to survive without Ren? Yes. Obviously, she's a way better fighter. God damn it. Like, could she be permanently emotionally damaged by that if he died? Yes, I think possibly mentally she might not ever fully recover from that, but a lot of people never fully recover from losing loved ones. And that it's not always a romantic relationship. Some people never recover from losing a family member. And that's just what happens sometimes. At this point, they are more family than anything else. So the fact that they would be permanently damaged by losing the other one, that is irrecoverable at this point. You cannot fix that at this point. So her just trying to say, like, I don't know who I am without, it's like, you can't fix that. If you left him completely, like, even as a friend, that would permanently damage both of them. at this point. Romance aside, they are too important to each other. Could they survive without each other? Of course they could. Absolutely. Depending on how things go, could they end up still pretty good? Sure. But the whole point of the way their relationship was written was that they're better together, and they did so much together. They went through things together that no people ever have to go through together. Like, they have shared trauma on a whole nother level that, like, how is that a problem you can't get rid of that, you know? And trying to just discount that is fucking stupid. But she's still not, like, defined by him. Like, she still has a person. I don't know. It just, everything about it is so dumb. It was one of the dumbest decisions. I did not see it coming. It hit me like a fucking freight train, and I was just baffled. Like, I don't even think I was as mad as I should have been when we first did, like, the Volume 8 podcasts. I was just, like, too dumbstruck to be as furious as I ended up being later on, you know? It was too stupid. It's one of the reasons why I, like, just kind of didn't consume RWBY content for a while. I was so mad about it. Because the thing is, now at this point, even if they get them together, it's never going to be as good as it could have been. It's never going to be as well done as it could have been. And that's very fucking, it's permanently damaged. It's not as good of a story as it could have been. I hope they still get together. I hope they still do something with that. If they don't, like, that's just fucking retarded. Would not make any sense to not get them together. It is what it is. I mean, I've tried to complain about it less recently. I think I have complained about it less recently, but obviously this is the shipping podcast, so this is my time to bitch about it.
What's next?
Oh, yeah. Next is, oh boy, another one to bitch about, Rose Garden.
No, it hasn't gotten any less weird.
No, my biggest problem with this one is I think it's weird how popular this one is. I think it's very weird how popular this one is. But I think, like I've said before, I think the reason why it's popular is a lot of female RWBY fans think Oscar is cute, so they ship it.
And he kind of is.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's not.
I can't lie, like, their little interaction they have in Volume 7 where they're getting ready to tell Ironwood about what Jen told them is really cute.
It is, but the problem is Oscar does not have a character. And my biggest issue with the ship, one, I mean, the fact that he's, like, combined with Ozpin, I still find that weird. It's like, Ozpin's like this 1,000-year-old wizard dude, and, like, it's not like the Avatar, where, like, the Avatar state is very specific to, like, certain time periods, and you, like, kind of talk to the past spirits at certain points. But the Avatar is still entirely their own personality in person, right? Versus the Ozpin versions are very clearly more Ozpin than anything else, right? Now, of course, could they easily fix that by ending the series with Ozpin and Salem dying, or, you know, something happening to them to get rid of Ozpin from Oscar? Absolutely, they could do that. And so that would fix that very easily, to be honest. Like, so that's not my biggest problem. I used to use that as the excuse as to why I don't like it. But honestly, that was very disingenuous on my part. I should not be making that argument, because that's not why I don't like this ship, honestly. I really don't care about that. I think I may have even, the real reason I hate this ship is because Oscar has no character. He's an awful character. He doesn't have character. He doesn't have personality. And the main character of a show who does actually have a defined personality is actually an overall, one of the better characters in the show. Not the best, because Weiss is the best written character in the show. RWBY does not deserve to be with such a shitty character. You know what I mean? It's like how, like, nobody wanted Harry to end up with Cho. Like, it's just a dumb character. Nobody wanted that. Okay? Nobody should want RWBY to end up with such a non-character. A character that was added partway through the series that has no personality, is such a bitch, is boring, is so milquetoast. Like, that is such an insult to her character, man. I would hate that so fucking much. That would piss me off like no tomorrow. Like, and I'm not saying this as a Lancaster shipper, because I'm definitely no longer a Lancaster shipper. White Knight all the way. So I just think him being such an awful and non-existent character is like, how do you like this? How does this work? The main character deserves so much better than this. And also, RWBY is just, honestly, I think at this point, RWBY doesn't end up with anybody. It's just, that's the way it seems to be. And that's, you know, for me to be supporting that is crazy, because I am, like, you know, Mr. Romance guy, okay? But, like, it's very clear, like, she does not have any interest in anybody. Penny was the closest.
Yeah, that's a big problem for me too. And, like, it could work. Like, you kind of, anytime you're dealing with, like, fantasy bullshit, you have to completely divorce it from the legality of it. because laws are based on reality, and in our reality, we don't have ancient wizards who possess the bodies of small boys every time they die. So we have no precedent for that. We don't know how to handle that.
And that's why I said I don't use that argument anymore.
The same thing with the 1,000-year-old loli. We don't have 1,000-year-old lolis in our world, so we don't know what the fuck to do with them.
They don't exist. Well, yeah, no, and that's my point. It's like anything fictional, it doesn't matter.
Same thing with like time travel, time displaced stuff, like magic age changing. It doesn't matter. Ship what you want to ship. I do see the ship at least from Oscar's angle.
Oh, even I can't argue that.
Like, he does kind of seem to have a bit of a crush on RWBY. I don't think RWBY reciprocates, or actually, I don't think RWBY would know what the fuck to do with a confession. Like, I kind of want to see it. I kind of want someone, whether it's Oscar or literally anyone else, confess to RWBY and RWBY just be like, I need to think about this. I need to think long and hard about my life and my plans and who I am as a person, because I don't feel that way about anybody. Which is kind of what I did with her daughter in RWBY on Generations. If Oscar was just a better character, or if I had more of a reason to give a shit about him, then I would be totally fine shipping this. Or at least I would be more okay with people shipping. I'm not going to judge people who ship anything in the show or any other. The most I'll do is maybe give you a side eye and call you an idiot or a faggot or something. But I mean it all in jest, because I don't actually care. Like, do what you want to do. Make art for whoever you want to make art for. Write fanfics for whoever you want to write fanfics for. You know, muses come in all shapes and sizes, and I can't judge your taste based off of my own personal muse. I tried getting into the ship recently just to try to like see what the fandom has produced, and I wasn't impressed. So I have not been won over by even the people who ship this really hard. I have not been convinced that they even care that much.
It's a weird one, man. I want to like it too, honestly, because I am somebody that is generally just very pro, like, wanting romances to be confirmed and stuff like that, and with any shows or series and stuff like that, right? I am very, like, pro romance, and even in real life, I am not the kind of, you know, some people like react like, oh, you know, they get jealous like when their friends or family members are getting married or whatever, and it's like makes them feel bad about themselves. I've never been like that. I've always been the one that's like, yes, go love, like, you know what I mean? That's always the way I am. So it's very rare for me to be very strongly against a ship, because I don't really think there's almost anything else on here unless it like directly contradicts a ship that I think is very good, right? Like anything involving Nora or Ren aside from Renora, like I won't support that, obviously, because it's so obvious they're supposed to be together, right? Anything other than that, and I wasn't even against Black Sun. I'm very just like pro having a relationship happen, but when the character is as fucking awful as Oscar, it's just like, no.
You don't get a happy ending.
Yeah, exactly. Like Blake and Yang, it's like, that's fine because they both suck. It's fine. They deserve each other, right? It's okay. But when one character's way better than the other character, it's like...
That's the real power imbalance.
Yeah. Or if, like, you know, somebody who's like an asshole gets with somebody that's like good, you know what I mean? Guy or whichever side it's on, or like gay, straight, whatever. I'm not usually going to be in favor of that either, right? But that's kind of the problem. And that's why I hate Rose Garden. It's like, who thinks Oscar's a good enough character to deserve the main character? As far as this show goes, one of the better written characters. Okay, I'm not saying RWBY as a character is a masterpiece in character writing. She's one of the better characters written. And then also, like, he wasn't even there when she went through her most important arc, which is her Volume 9 arc. That's another thing. That's a big thing, actually. Like, any, like, important characters, like, relationships, you should be making the other person better. Like, you should bring out the best in each other. That is one of the defining things. And that's why Renora complaining about Ren makes no goddamn sense, because they've clearly brought out the best in each other. Nora went from being a homeless fucking street orphan to being the most broken character in the fucking show against Grimm. Besides the main character with her silver eye, she is literally the best against Grimm as shown in the show. Besides RWBY. I'm sorry. Look how happy and her personality, look how like her joy for life, how happy she is to be with people and to do stuff and eat, like how much she loves eating. You can't fucking tell me anything other than Ren has made Nora's life better than it would have been otherwise. And also, the same goes the other way around. There's no way Ren's life has not been made brighter and cheerier superior and happier and more successful by Nora. And other than just the fact that both of them would have been dead without the other. Like, there's every single level you can like emotional maturity, emotional health, just being alive, like strength, combat skills, everything they've done, they have made each other's life better. That's why they are the best ship. Because like Blake and Yang, you can't really make that argument, right? Like with Black Sun, you could make that argument that Sun was making Blake's life better, right? I don't think you could make the same argument that Blake was making Sun's life better, that's for sure. But with Renora, you 1000% can say that they make each other the best versions of themselves, right? In what way does Oscar make Ruby a better version of herself? In zero ways. Nothing at all. She has to baby him. He drags her down.
Another point in White Rose's favor, actually.
Yes, exactly.
And that kind of goes back to what I was saying about a relationship in fiction is more compelling when there's a story there. There is a story to Ruby and Weiss. There is a story to Blake and Sun. There is a story to Ren and Nora. There's kind of a story to Blake and Yang. Kind of one-sided. There's not really a story to Ruby and Oscar. It's just, if they end up together, it'll just be two cute characters being cute together.
And yeah, like I said, the fact that he wasn't even there when Ruby's gone through her biggest, like, emotional journey, like, nah. That's a big part of any romance story is, like, they gotta be there for that, man. That's like a huge fucking thing, okay? So
what you're saying is Lancaster still has a chance.
Yes, technically, yes. The other one, it's funny you mentioned Lancaster, and because the other one that has a big chance of happening is White Knight.
Oh, you want to talk about there being a fucking story there? There's stories here, plural. So this ship has become so fucking powerful. And even as someone who watched it grow from, day one, basically, it still boggles my mind just how much better the ship got with age. Even going back and watching those earlier volumes and seeing like, oh, she kind of did single them out weirdly in volume 1 when she was like, we can talk about cute boys and paint our nails. In Forever Fall, she's the first one to try to jump in and help him. That is just kind of part of her personality. It's part of her having much less faith than Jean than Ruby or Pyrrha do. But it shows that she cares, and it shows that she is deep down a good person. Like, she's not going to let this dude get eaten just because he was hitting on her. We know people who would actually do that.
We noticed that, like, one of the things that was kind of nice in Volume 2 is that juxtaposition of part of the reason why Weiss turns Jean down is because she thinks that he's after her for shallow reasons. And then we go and hear Jean's actual reasons for liking Weiss, which, no, they're not super deep, but he doesn't know that much about her yet. And I think he even kind of admits that. But, like, his reasons for liking her are cute and genuine, They are real reasons to be into somebody. I don't see how there's anything, wrong with that. I think that was very nice. And I love the maturity Weiss has been showing. Like, the thing is with White Knight, man, first of all, there is now specific precedent for it because Weiss was very, very interested in Jean as the Rusted Knight. Like, extremely so. And yes, could we write it off as just a joke? Sure, we could. But does that mean it also has more of a chance now? Absolutely it does. That's the other thing. And it would story-wise be really good for both of their characters. That's the other thing. Like story-wise, it would be very compelling for both of them. And I'm not even the biggest Jean fan, but like, again, Jean is just so much more substantive than Oscar is, right? Jean was awful in Volume 1. I would never have wanted them to end up together in Volume 1. But this ain't Volume 1 anymore. Jean is much stronger. He's gone through a lot more. I would say he is now worthy of someone like Weiss at this point. And I would say that Weiss choosing someone like Jean at this point would be a much more emotionally healthy thing for her to do. And it would be the biggest full circle moment in her maturity in choosing somebody like Jean instead of, like, obviously she's not going to end up with someone of status at this point. Like, and so what makes more sense than Jean for the straight girl, in terms of people she's interacted with that, like, in a story, the characters that would make sense for her to end up with, like, someone theoretically like Flint Cole would make sense, but they haven't interacted enough for that to feel like a satisfying conclusion. I would complain about that one for less than Rose Garden, because at least what we do see of Flint, like, I like him more than Oscar. He's somehow more substantive than Oscar is somehow. But, like, that would make sense because the whole thing about, his dad's dust shop and, her obviously would be trying to fix the Schnee Dust Company, all that kind of stuff. So that could make sense. But there's not enough interactions with them for that to be a satisfying conclusion, right? Jean, like, who else, for a character as straight as Weiss, who else does it make sense for her to end up with? Someone who does have a crush on her, very clearly. Jean does. She has now shown to at least somewhat be attracted to him at some level. That's proven now. I think the official RWBY Twitter even reposted that moment at some point. I feel like they did. I can't remember for sure, but I feel like they did. Just the story-wise, it would make sense. And I do think they would actually be good for each other. They have been good for each other. I mean, fucking Jean literally saved Weiss's life already. So there's that. Talking about, making each other better. Like, that's a thing. And
like, I think for them to be fully primed, there needs to be a moment where Weiss genuinely calls Jean her hero. Have a moment like that. Because that would bring it full circle, because in Volume 1, she mockingly said that when he tried, like, catching her from the tree and then just fell flat on his face. My hero.
I would, that there definitely needs to be more done. God, if we start getting White Knight moments in Volume 10, oh my god, I'm going to be so happy.
Oh, and we talked about how Barb's influence may have pushed Bumblebee into being canon. Kara Eberly, Weiss's voice actress, fucking adores White Knight. And it's because in Volume 2, they lived out one of her own personal fantasies, which is when Jean, which, like, Weiss sings, Jean plays guitar. That's already ship-worthy right there. But when Jean tries to serenade her with the guitar, Kara was apparently, like, very upset that Weiss didn't say yes, because that she's always wanted a guy to do that to her.
Oh, really? I mean, that does say something.
That's kind of like a personal fantasy for her, apparently.
That's cute, actually. It's really cute.
And she's been championing White Knight ever since.
I don't know, I just feel like it would make a lot of sense, and I do feel like they would be good for each other, honestly. Like, we know John's a very supportive, caring person, and, like, I don't know, I just think it would work, man. We do need to see more stuff happening, though.
Well, there's also the observation that I've kind of made, that Jean hasn't shot his shot with Weiss since Volume 3. Granted, they didn't interact much in Volume 4, and the only interaction they had in Volume 5 was when he saved her life. Time and a place. They kind of split off in Volume 6, so they weren't together for a lot of Volume 6. It is weird that Weiss seems very clingy towards him, almost like she might be embarrassed that he saved her. She kind of seems like she would be, but she does want to thank him. Like, we've never seen her, like, properly thank him, and that could be, like, she's too proud and he isn't asking for it.
Could be a great interaction, though, honestly.
Yeah. Like I said, that's why we need a My Hero moment. And I'm not just saying that as the quote, which the RWBY kind of uses a lot in the earlier volumes. That's a big thing in My Hero Academia is, who is whose hero. Everyone can be a hero, and if everybody is a hero, everybody can be somebody's hero, even a villain. That's, like, a big theme in My Hero Academia. But, like, Weiss and Jean really need a moment like that. And I feel like it's gotta be coming at some point. Even if they don't end up together, they still need that moment just to kind of bring that plot line full circle. But yeah, Weiss hasn't shoved him away. Weiss has been very close to him, lingering near him anytime that they're on screen together or anytime that they're in the same room together. But Jean hasn't shot his shot with her since Volume 3. And hasn't really done much on his end, and that makes sense actually, because he was so torn up about Pyrrha. Then just when he's getting over Pyrrha, all the Atlas stuff happens, and he's torn up over Penny. And then his time as the Rusted Knight, like, he's gone through just so much, like, more than any of the other characters at this point. And I want them to be happy, because I think they deserve it. Like, they're both excellent characters. Weiss more so. I think they do look really cute together. And like I said, there's just a lot of story potential there. There's a lot of stories that have already played in the background of these volumes regarding them. So there's just a lot of meat there.
We do need more to happen. Like, we need to see more, like, that builds to it, obviously. That would be nice. But I think they could definitely, actually do that in this upcoming volume. That would be nice to see. That's something I'm, like, looking forward to the most. Like, fucking fix Renora, but, like, give us some White Knight stuff now that you've already teased it. Land that plane, too. Right? Like, that's what we gotta see. And the next one is Lancaster, one of the rivals, I guess. I just don't see it happening anymore. Like, I was certainly never against it. I'm still not against it. I'm definitely more pro White Knight at this point, as I just explained. But at this point, because White Knight is getting so teased now, for that reason alone, I just don't see it happening. I think they do have a great friendship. There's there's definitely strong basis for it. There's no doubt about that. But I just don't see it happening based off of literally just because of the strongness of White Knight right now. That's the whole reason why I don't see it happen.
I've made my argument pro Lancaster on numerous occasions. I still think that they are BFF soulmates. I think every interaction they've had together up through Volume 8 is extremely cute, and it was so heartbreaking to see them cycle into the worst of each other in Volume 9 and be unable to work through that themselves. They really do need to talk things out. That is something I'm expecting from Volume 10.
Oh yeah, they better.
Everybody who is in the Ever After, and also I would say like the adults in Ruby's life, particularly Crow, I think should be privy to that conversation. Maybe even Oscar, just because Osmond, whatever. I would also throw Renora in that conversation. I think the main cast needs to be privy to this information and needs to know, like, what happened down there. And really, like, talk things out with Ruby. But I think even if White Knight becomes canon, I think there should be a moment similar to My Favorite Rom-Com, Quintessential Quintuplets, slot Ruby into the Itsuki role, where she is one of the last people to kind of like accept that and last one to like congratulate them and wrestle with like her own feelings and realize that like these are her two best friends. Because they are. Like, Weiss and Jean are her two best friends. It certainly isn't fucking Blake.
Yeah.
And being happy for them and learning to be happy for other people, because that seems to be something that Ruby is struggling with throughout Volume 9, is knowing how to be happy for people who are happy for reasons that have nothing to do with her. Like I said, like, the reason why she blows up on Yang and Blake is because they're happy and she's not, and she can't understand why. And it's part of, like, she's never been in love. She's clearly never been in love. Like, clearly, like, Penny is the closest thing she's had, and she didn't even get the chance to explore those feelings and realize what those feelings meant to her. And because she is so romantic by nature, you know, again in the classical sense, and we know she reads romance manga. That was confirmed in Volume 5. There's like the line where she's like, "Can a girl read her comics in peace?"
That's right.
"Can a girl read her comics in peace?" And Lindsay's like, "Oh, she reads shoujo romance," which is fucking joy. That's hilarious.
There's some good stuff out there.
Oh yeah, they're obviously, but like so funny for like someone like Ruby to be into that sort of thing.
Oh yeah, no, that's definitely the funny part.
Yeah, I think it adds another dimension to her character, another dimension to like her perspective on these sorts of things. I want Ruby to be happy too. Ruby deserves a happily ever after.
She does. That's the thing, but it's like I don't see what they're gonna do with her.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm worried it's just going to end up being Rose Garden. The biggest problem I have with White Knight is it leaves things more open for Rose Garden. And I guess just my problem with that is, again, like, what does he do that would make Ruby happy? Nothing. Like, there's nothing about that proves... Like, you'd say, like, oh, you know, it could happen in the future. Like, yeah, but if you're writing a fucking story, we need to see that before. We need to see the proof beforehand, not assume it's going to happen later. And also, talk about, like, how things happen in real life. Like, a lot of times people end up together that shouldn't end up together. So just because, you know, you're going to get characters together doesn't mean it's a good idea, all right? So we need something much better than that. That's...
Again, this is why, like, I really want... If White Knight is in-game... I really want them to go the Itsuki route with Ruby. This is never explicitly said in the manga. This is all just up to interpretation, and this is my interpretation of the ending of Quintuplets as far as Itsuki's role in it goes. Itsuki was never in love with Futaro. And because she is so friendly with him and has such a strong relationship with him, she struggles to congratulate him because him and Yotsuba are being kind of pussyfooting around their own confession. Like, she's the first one to know that they are both into each other and does what she can to, like, push them towards each other, but she can't really be satisfied until Yotsuba especially fucking nuts up. Then she has this conversation with one of her students, and Itsuki has to, like, use the lessons that she learned through her experience with Futaro, that sometimes you can only learn by doing. Sometimes you can only learn to love by trying. You have to, like, pretend to have fun in order to have fun sometimes. And I think Ruby should give love a shot, even if she is ace, even if this is just kind of life advice. How do you know you're ace if you haven't tried to be romantic with someone? Like, maybe you just haven't found the right person. Like, you never know until you explore these feelings, until you explore, like, your sexuality and your interests and your tastes and stuff. And that's kind of where Ruby is at with a lot of this stuff. Again, like, it makes her a much more interesting, compelling character than what was on the surface there in Volume Volume 1. Like, there's always been these deeper layers to her and to her, like, development and her backstory and the way she's responded to these sort of situations and these relationships. And it's something that I want to see the show continue exploring through Volume 10 and beyond.
Man, RWBY is honestly weirdly like the character I'm most worried about how her ending is going to go, to be honest. Because, like, at the end of the day, I expect them to confirm Renora at some point.
I'm not even 100% convinced that she's going to end the show alive.
Oh, yeah, that's the thing. I mean, honestly, I would not hate RWBY dying.
Obviously, like last episode.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But RWBY sacrificing herself, I kind of like that, to be honest. And I like RWBY as a character. I think that could be very powerful, and I think they could do it well if they do it right. They could do it very poorly, but I think that would thematically work, given a lot of the hints that we've been getting about her character so far. Yeah, I could see that happen.
I hope not.
That would be a more dignified ending for her than certain other endings, honestly. Her ending is what I'm most unsure about, to be honest, because obviously I don't see Bumblebee not making it through the end. I'd be shocked if that changed. I expect to see White Knight happen. I just do. If they're going to do anything, they'll do that. I expect them to confirm Renora. I just hope they do it well. Obviously, I'm still nervous about it, but I just expect it, you know? So that mainly just leaves RWBY, honestly, if you think about it. Like, so that's the only one of, like, the main cast where, like, ugh. So let's talk about what could have been her end game, but now can't be. This is the only, like, one where there's a dead character where I still feel it's necessary to talk about, and that's Nuts and Dolts. Because, as I've been saying, man, the more I've rewatched the show, damn, I ship it so much more. I never shipped this before. I wasn't necessarily against it in the past. Fucking S-tier name, by the way. S-tier ship name, Nuts and Dolts. Man, I really fucking ship this. And I have to say, the biggest issue I have with Penny dying is not like what Coop or anybody else would say about it feeling cheap the second time. I, honestly, as much as I will complain about the show, I did not feel like it was cheap the second time. I really didn't. The first time, yes, but I really didn't think it felt cheap the second time. I thought it was impactful. My biggest issue now with her dying, I did not feel this the first time, but now that I've rewatched a couple of times since, my biggest issue with Penny dying is that she can't end up with RWBY. I'm not, like, that's actually my biggest complaint about it.
It's so fucking tragic.
Yeah, they were so sweet and adorable together, and, like, they had an amazing dynamic. You can tell they genuinely cared about each other a lot. Is there any indication that it was beyond platonic? No, but I mean, it could have gone beyond platonic. Definitely, you know what I mean? Like, they were primed to go to that point if they wanted to. Again, the fact that the main voice actress, like, shipped it so hard obviously was okay, you know what? I'm going to put it this way. If they bring Penny back somehow so she can end up with Penny instead of Oscar, I won't complain. I don't care how illogical. I don't care. I'll take it. I'll take it. I'll take it.
Far from me.
I'll take it. No. If it's that or Rose Garden, no, there's no question. I'm also kind of joking because, like, that's not going to happen. That would be really bad writing if that happened. But, like, it's just unfortunate because, like, I see it. Like, I mean, again, what's the only thing RWBY's ever shown to really be into is weapons. Penny's a living weapon. I mean, it just fits. They were always so good together.
That's always been the joke with Nuts and Dolts, is like, ah ha ha ha, RWBY weapon fanatic, robot girl, something fisting joke. But especially, like, in Volume 7 and 8, like, seeing Penny wrestle with her role as the Guardian of Mantle and the Winter Maiden in Volume 8, and having to, like, make these really fucking bullshit tough decisions that are completely fucking unfair to her and to everybody around her, everybody she cares about. They get put in just these shitty situations that whole volume. And RWBY, who is always, like, trying to be proactive and trying to be cheerful, smiles all around, but who very deeply is not okay. Even throughout Volume 8, she's very not okay. And she's stressing the fuck out over Penny that whole volume, or at least the second half of that volume. After she crashes into the courtyard. And they got, like, the protectiveness of each other. They're very cute, again, like, in a not sexually coded way. We joke about them scissoring and fisting each other or whatever, but, like, it's all joke. There's not really any indication that they are, like, horny for each other. Whereas, like, Weiss is horny for Jean. I'm not mincing words when I say that. Weiss was horny for Neptune in Volume 2. I'm not mincing words with that. Blake and Sun were kind of horny for each other. Blake and Yang are horny for each other. Like, RWBY and Penny, I don't even, like, they could totally have been in a multi-year long relationship without even kissing. because honestly, kissing is overrated, and it certainly wouldn't mean anything to Penny, who, like, we don't know how realistic her artificial nerves are. Like, kissing might not do fucking anything for her until she gets her human body, which that's a whole different ballgame. It opens up a lot of possibilities that were not open before, but it also closes some, because you lose some things chasing a dream.
Poses living too. That's the problem.
Yeah, she can't come back because of that.
They're very supportive of each other. Like, I definitely feel like they would be good for each other. That's another thing. Again, that's very, very important. Like, would they bring out the best in each other? I think they already do in the show, right? That's the thing. Ruby does so much for Penny, and you can see how appreciative Penny is, and you can see that Penny would do anything to protect Ruby, and she does, like, do anything to protect people. So, like,
Ruby is her first friend. Ruby is the first person in her entire life to, like, genuinely treat her like a fucking human being, and not as, like, just some kind of tool, or, like, her father is cool. You know, Pietro is cool. Yeah. Like, he obviously, like, loves her a lot, but, and also he knows the truth about, like, where her soul came from, so he's got a lot more of that going for him. But, like, no one else in her life treated her like a human being after they discovered the truth. Like, you go back and watch Volume 8, she's constantly called a puppet, or a tin can, or a war machine. Like, Watts calls her Ironwood's top war machine.
Well, I think the biggest thing that Ruby does is not only is Ruby the first person to treat her like an actual person, she then gets others to treat Penny like a real person.
Yeah, like having Jean boost Penny's aura in order to stave off the virus is her idea. And it's because she's like, Penny is more than the machinery. Nora says it's just a part of you.
And I think that's huge.
And Emerald's just like, I am not fucking dying here after I just left.
I just left my senpai. So Ruby doesn't just treat her better; she gets others to treat Penny better. It's sad that it's not going to happen. It is unfortunate because I really was starting to ship it. Actually, speaking of another ship that's now dead, that rose up and became super, super popular and then exploded before we even did, the next shipping video, is Lucky Charms.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't buy it.
You don't buy it? I didn't really notice it. I'm not against it. I obviously see what people see in it because it's another one. It does kind of read a bit like the gay version of White Rose. It is very like Crow is the mopey, droopy, sad, withdrawn person. And Clover is the very outgoing, positive person that brings a happier side out of the gloomy person, right? And that is as we've said, that is a very, very fucking popular dynamic. Everybody loves the fucking emo girl with the chipper boyfriend or the goth girl, whatever, just the opposites thing, right? Like people love that shit. It is a very popular thing, whether it's straight, gay, lesbian, whatever. And so I get it. Like I get it for for those reasons alone. I get it. And they had a lot of moments together, and it was very, very Volume 7, I think especially, was very big on trying to get Crow to be
well, it was entirely isolated into Volume 7.
Does he die in Volume 7? I thought he died in Volume 8.
Yes.
Oh,
he
wow.
dies in Volume 7, Episode
Wow,
12.
so it's all only one volume. Shit, okay. Parts of those volumes, man, really blend together. It's going to be interesting when we finally get to those in our individual episodes thing, honestly, because it's going to be... I forget some of the differences. So, okay, one volume, but I still remember, like, a lot of scenes together, and, like, I get it. I'm not against it. Like, I didn't even really think about it when I was watching at the time, and then I found out later people were talking about it being, like, a big ship, but, like, yeah, I mean, Clover is trying to be very supportive to Crow, so I get that. My biggest issue is just that, like, at that point in the show, Crow is such an annoying and like lame ass character. Like this is Crow at his worst in terms of enjoyability as a character. Like he's not likable at all here. So to me, that kind of brings it down a bit, to be honest. That was my biggest thing against it. Like I wasn't necessarily anti it, but that kind of makes me against it. Also, Clover's dead now, so it's not going to happen. I don't begrudge people for being into this one. I do see it. I see why people ship it, at least. I don't know how that was going to happen. I don't know if either of them were even, right? We didn't actually get any sign of that from either of them.
Yeah. We've seen Crow hit on girls. That's it.
Here's the thing, though. Clover does read as a little bit gay. I'm not going to lie. That one I can definitely see.
Maybe, like...
I thought he did. I don't think Crow does.
I don't see him going either way.
Yeah. Well, I know. I'm saying if I had to guess, but, like, it didn't seem super likely.
Here's my thing. and this is just me. This is just a personal thing. BL stuff is always going to be hard for me to grasp because I don't like guys.
Yeah,
I really don't. I was only calling Oscar cute because that's what everyone calls him. So I just take their word for it. I don't understand the appeal because it is not for me. Yaoi stuff is not for me. It is for the ladies. And for really just the ladies demographically, like
honestly, for the most part,
speaking,
yes.
like even like gay guys don't really tend to like those sorts of stories. In my experience.
The only gay anime I've ever watched was Yuri on Ice, and that's because my sister was a huge fan of it, and she had me watch it, and it was good. Like, I didn't. It's not my favorite for sure, but like, I'm trying to people who would like this type of ship are not represented in our podcast, and I'm trying to see this from their perspective as much as I can, right? Because, like I said, I did not know that this was a ship because I'm not looking at it that way, because I'm not into BL at all, so. I didn't see it. But, when you say that it was a thing, it's like, okay, yeah, I can see why. I can definitely see why. I don't want to rain on their prey. Like, if I could, there's other, gay ships that I don't see at all. Like, I think we have it on the list. Yeah, there's one on the list that we'll talk about that I don't understand it at all. But this one I get. Like, from as much as I can get it, like, I see why it's there.
Like, if you just describe the characters and without explicitly stating their gender, like, yes, I could see it being similar to you said White Rose. I would disagree. I would say it's more like Black Sun.
Fair. Yeah, that's fair.
In terms of the actual dynamic, and also much like Black Sun, they have complementary semblances. I love that. That is what actually made me identify it as a potential ship back in Volume 7, Episode 3, when that semblance was revealed. Like, oh, people are going to be shipping this because of that. The bad luck versus good luck. Similar to how, like, Blake and Sun both use clones with their semblances in different ways. Makes them complementary. Yang and Adam would be a ship by that logic.
Yeah. What would their ship be called? Disarmed?
So, like, I know what people see in this. I just don't think I'll ever fully understand it, like, genuinely. Like, I could say I do, and, like, I could list all the things, but, like, I never felt it. And it is because of, my own sensibilities and my own taste. I can read into, two girls being friendly and be like, oh, this is a little homoerotic. I can never do the same with guys, especially since there's a lot of people online, and I'm not even saying, like, the RWBY community. I think they've been pretty normal about it. Honestly,
yeah.
The example that always fucking pisses me off is Lord of the Rings, with people shipping Frodo and Sam. Just no, because that defeats the entire purpose of their friendship. You don't have to want to fuck a person in order to save their life. After the battle in Lord of the Rings, after the story is over, Sam goes home and, like, has 17 kids or whatever with his hobbit wife. Like, Sam is completely 100% straight. And I have to kind of throw Yuri shippers under the bus here, too. Because Yuri shippers are just as guilty about this stuff, where they will fetishize LGBT relationships, and in doing so, do a disservice to, like, the camaraderie of the characters. Because that's what a lot of it ends up being. Like I said, like, BL stuff is for the ladies, because ladies love to fetishize that stuff. Yuri shows are primarily for the male demographic, because men like to fetishize lesbian romance. And if that's you, fine. I fetishize Yuri stuff. No, I've written some gay fanfics in my life, but, like, be honest about it, man. Don't try to fucking pull the wool over my eyes. Don't try to gaslight me into thinking that this is anything other than just some ladies in the RWBY fandom wanting the boys to be boys inside of each other and then bitching about burying your gays when that's not really the intent of the story. Like I said, like, we see Crow hitting on girls. We don't really see him flirting. Clover, there's things that you can maybe read into flirting, I guess. I never caught it.
So I didn't catch it at the time.
Like, people have told me, so I'll just take their word for it, because I don't know. I don't get BL stuff. It doesn't appeal to me.
No, that's the thing. It doesn't appeal to me at all, which is another reason why I didn't even see it in the first place. Also, yeah, your point of, like, Crow has openly flirted with women and talked about women, so it seemed very unlikely, and probably, it didn't happen. So I think my only point is, like, do I get why people shipped it? Yes, I think I can see why it was a thing, like, why people made it a thing. I totally see why people made it a thing. Did I see it actually happening? Absolutely not. No. I mean, it's definitely not happening anyway because it's gone.
Clover's dead, so it doesn't matter. Next is
Gira X Cali, which I'm sure there's a name for it. I don't know what it is but hey, I mean, we gotta talk about it because it's one of the, as I said, 3 and only 3 confirmed current existing romantic relationships in the show. That is it. Honestly, I love Cali and Gira together. I think they're a good couple. I think they're good. I think they're decent enough parents. They obviously can't be the best parents if they raise Blake because Blake fucking sucks. But then part of that is the issue of her, being with Adam for so many years and all that shit. Like, she wasn't actually with her parents for that long, but they seem like good people. My only real issue is, like, how is Gira so angry at Sun all the time when it should be pretty obvious? Like,
it's just cliche disapproving dad stuff.
Yeah, and I hate that bullshit. I've read romance stories where they have, like, the typical disapproving dad, and they actually make it good, where they, like, have it as a central plot point for, like, the guy to win the dad over.
Maruo and Futaro have a really fun dynamic. Their first interaction is Futaro, like, telling them to step up and be a dad, or, like, Futaro talks mad shit about him, and then realizes after that, like, I fucked up.
Obviously, like, Miyuki does not have a good relationship with Kaguya's family, but Kaguya doesn't have a good relationship with Kaguya's family. So, that's a little bit different.
That's one of the things I really love about Shikimori, Izumi's mom, is super infatuated with Shikimori and invites her over all the time. And Shikimori doesn't have a dad. She comes from a single parent household, and her mom does dig Izumi, but she's much more like a recluse. And then, their moms end up becoming, like, best friends as they're dating. Like, it's really wholesome. It's really cute.
Yeah, that's awesome. My favorite trope in like, romance visual novels is overly permissive dads. One of the ones I played, like, part of the setup is that, like, starts with the main character getting engaged to her, technically. And in every single route, like, in the route where he does marry her, the dad, like, loves him and is, like, because, like, he's, like, super buddy with the main character. It's fucking hilarious. And then even the routes where he doesn't end up with that girl, the dad is still like, are you sure you don't want to marry my daughter? Are you sure you don't want to? You sure you don't want to try this again? Are you sure? Are you sure you don't want to marry her? Fucking hilarious. But you can do the angry dad trope. It's done well where it gets solved in a way, or it's like it's not just for a joke that, like, oh, the dad's angry, like, and they do that. I hate when that's done, and I still see it sometimes. It's really frustrating. But when it's done where you can overcome it, that's actually very satisfying. It can be done very, very well. Like, I've read romance stories like that where it's actually done beautifully. But this is just the cheap joke version, and it's not funny. Like, it's just dumb, and it's annoying, and I don't get it. Like, the only payoff of that joke is, like, where, like, they actually end up agreeing at some point. It's like, okay, but that's not worth all the other pointless. Doesn't make any fucking sense, man. It really doesn't at all. But Callie and Gear together are a good balance, healthy relationship. You love to see it. Why we don't have more, I don't know. It doesn't make sense, but they're good together.
So I do appreciate what I would call romantic diversity. And I don't think RWBY has quite enough to, like, really scratch all the itches I itch for. But it does, honestly, a lot better than a lot of other shows, which might be one of the reasons why this has such an active shipping community. You have things like people who fell out of love. You have a widowed man with Tai. You have a widowed woman with Willow. You have parents that are alive with the Belladonnas. You have parents that are outright dead with the Wrens.
The Valkyries.
Well, we don't know anything about the Valkyries.
True. And I hope we never do. We don't need to.
It just adds dimensions to this world and to this cast, which is something you want to get in an ensemble cast. Like, you don't want all the relationships to just be the same. And so, yeah, I always appreciate Kira and Callie for being kind of like the first fully functioning, and still the only fully functioning hetero-parent combo in the series.
There should technically be more than just them, but, I mean, at least they exist. So, I like them. And that leads us to our other functioning married couple, but lesbian this time, Tara and Saffron, which I like them too. Like, I like them together. They work.
Saffron is so fucking hot, and Tara is really cute too. We don't get a whole lot of them. We just don't see, they're not in the show much. They're only in a couple episodes in Volume 6, and that's it.
I like how they actually use Tara's, like, knowledge base and, like, job skills to, like, help help them pull off some of the stuff they do. I thought that was kind of cool. Yeah, like I like that we see them actually like having to do normal people shit, which again just makes Blake look even more like a spoiled asshole, because like her parents never have to go get groceries or like anything, like whereas like you see Saffron and Tara and they like actually have to be normal functioning members of society, and like you can see how like all the kids, everybody staying with them is kind of putting a burden on them, and they're putting up with it anyway, which is very sweet of them. It just makes Blake seem even worse that like her parents are even like, you know, richer and they don't have to do this shit, you know. It's kind of funny that's there. But yeah, like it's nice to see a functioning couple. They have a kid cooked up by whatever version of, you know, as media has said, lesbian magic that allowed them to have a kid. But hey, at least there's more children. We need to see more children in the fucking show, so good. But yeah, that's kind of it for them. I like them. They don't overstay their welcome.
So
next one is Snowbird, which I just like to talk about because this is my favorite crack ship. I will fully admit that this is a crack ship.
They get like no interactions in volume 7 or 8, and it's a shame.
It is a shame, but I like Snowbird just based off of the interactions in volume 3. We kind of just talked about it in the volume 3 podcast, but man, I don't know. They'd look good together. They hate each other, which, you know, at least they have emotion toward each other. They've got some sort of history together that would make them at least feel something for each other. The fight scene was awesome. I love how like Huffy Winter is you know, plays like he's drunk, and then I still love that. And then Glinda say he's always drunk. I don't know, this shit was funny. Great scene. I ship it. I know High Power does too. I'm speaking for High Power. I know he ships it as well.
I've kind of developed a headcanon. You know how they shadow huntsmen during their first year and stuff? We learned that from volume 2 with Ruby shadowing Oobleck. What if Crow was the huntsman Winter was forced to? And because of his bad luck, it was just a miserable fucking time, and that's why she fucking hates it.
That'd be hilarious, actually. That'd be pretty funny.
Basically gave her like the worst experience, and also she didn't get a good grade because of him. Like she had to save him or something. Like there's history there.
And when she talked to like the other, like, you know, her classmates, and they're like, oh, we got to do this and this and this, and then she's like, what? Mine sucked. What are you talking about? Yeah, that's true. That'd be really fucking funny.
Crow's like, I do Ironwood one solid turns into a decade-long mess because now she hates making our professional jobs a lot harder. No, like, there's history there, and that's something I kind of harp about, is economic storytelling. You know, especially in a show where you have limited screen time, no volume is ever, like, 100% confirmed, it can get canceled at any time. You have to, like, be able and willing to tell your story and get the point across as succinctly as you possibly can. RWBY struggles with that a lot. Winter and Crow is one area where they excel, because just in a few lines, you learn everything you really need to know about the history of these two, which is that they have history and they know each other on a professional and personal level, and they fucking hate each other for some goddamn reason.
It's kind of fun that we haven't found out why they hate each other. I kind of like that.
It should totally be like Ruby's noodle incident.
Oh, I know the noodle. I am a huge Calvin and Hobbes fan. I have like double copies of everything. Yeah, no, the noodle incident is fucking. So for those of you who have not read Calvin and Hobbes, first of all, what the fuck is wrong with you? Read Calvin and Hobbes. It is still my favorite fictional work of all time, regardless of medium. It's so good. The main character, Calvin, is he's like 6 years old, first grader, and he's totally an asshole. Fucks with his teacher a lot. His teacher hates him, and there's always this allusion throughout the entire series to the noodle incident, which like I think his parents refer to. Hobbes definitely refers to it a lot to like fuck with Calvin, but we never know what happened in the noodle incident. We just know that it was really, really bad, and it's probably why Calvin's teacher hates him so much, but we never get the details of it. And it's fun that that Watterson, the author, was never going to explain it. He never planned on explaining that shit, and that's part of the fun of it. So that is good. I like that.
Yeah, and it's so good and so influential that it's like an entire trope that other things have used.
Yeah.
A lot of that in the Star Wars prequels. A lot of allusions to missions that we don't even see in Clone Wars. 90% of the actual plot of Star Wars is just a bunch of noodle incidents.
There's a whole thing on TV tropes. There's stuff all over the place about how other things are noodle incidents. All I can say is, this year Santa had better bring me everything on my list. I've been extremely good all year. Hobbs like, What about the noodle incident? No one can prove I did that!
So yeah, moving on to the next one.
Next one is Toradana, which obviously gross.
Was canon.
Yep, was canon.
It was canon, guys.
It was canon.
Fuck you. It was canon. Ilya confirmed it. You were too busy falling for Adam.
You can't deny that it was canon. I don't deny that it was canon, but obviously it's gross. It's supposed to be gross. That's kind of the whole point. That's one of the main points of Adam's characters, you know? Supposed to make you feel uncomfortable. I like kind of the idea of Blake having a bad relationship before. I wish they did more with that on how it affected her relationships going forward, other than just, you know, her ex literally cutting her new girlfriend's arm off.
It would also maybe help, and I don't think the show will ever, like, explain this. Like, it'll just leave it all up to our imagination. But, like, how much did they do together? Because that could affect how she handles the relationship she's in. Just realistically speaking. I feel like they didn't do much. Like, you kind of feel like Adam isn't that kind of person.
I feel like Adam's the opposite of what you're thinking, to be honest, the way he acts.
He feels more like Jacques. Like, he gives me the same vibe that Jacques does. Where, like, he's more about, like, the control. And, like, the mission, and there's a bit of Judas contract with this relationship, because he is so much older than her, and she was 12 when she cursed out her parents and ran away from home, and was under his tutelage after that. You're not a comic book reader, but Judas Contract is a really, really seminal story from Teen Titans, where Tara, who is one of the Teen Titans... You've watched the 2003 series, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so you know Tara, and you know, like, the gist of Judas Contract, because they did a very, very, very family-friendly version of Judas Contract in Season 2. In the actual comics, they were fucking. Slade and Tara were fucking, and she was, like, 15, and Slade's, like, 40-something, and it's really fucking gross. But, like, he's an asshole. He's a villain. He's a bad guy. He's allowed to be that. It did reflect kind of poorly on Tara. Also kind of reflected poorly on Beast Boy, who kept on, like, trying to defend her even after the fact. Jesus Contract is not actually that great of a story, but it is really important because it was kind of the first time that DC went dark like that. Like, this was pre-Crisis. This was pre-Dark Knight Returns, pre-Watchmen, pre-Long Halloween, pre-Killing Joke, pre-Death in the Family. This was like almost a decade before Death in the Family. This was over a decade before Nightfall. This was like the first time DC even touched any of that stuff with a 10,000-foot pole, which made it like a really important story. And the fact that they were doing it with the Teen Titans and not any of the adult teams made it like even darker. And it's also very famous because it's the storyline where Dick Grayson becomes Nightwing. Like, it's the last time he shows up as Robin, and halfway through the Judas Contract storyline, he takes the new identity of Nightwing. Basically graduates into adulthood. Yeah, so there's a bit of Judas Contract stuff with Adam and Blake's alleged relationship or implied relationship, where he was very clearly like 17, 18 when she was 12, and he's in his like early 20s in the first 3 volumes when she's 17. Like, it's not that extreme of an age gap, but it is an age gap in the right place, and they do have a very similar relationship, especially with the film version of Judas Contract that came out a couple years ago, where Slade's kind of like leading her on and kind of like manipulating her, getting into her head, and like promising that they can be together, but only after they complete this one last mission. They have to complete the Judas Contract before they can be together. But then she's, handing her over as part of the Judas Contract is big betrayals. And it went on for a while. A lot of stuff happens in Judas Contract. A lot of twists and turns. But that's neither here nor there. My point is that Blake was 12 and was not old enough to be held accountable for that, but she still beats herself up for her, betraying her parents and joining Adam and staying with Adam as long as she did, and only leaving when he threatened to harm, like, innocent people on the train, even though, like, they had done plenty of other fucked up shit before that. We don't really know what all Blake did with the White Fang. We know what the White Fang do in that time period from Weiss's perspective, but how much of that was Blake even privy to? How much of that was Blake a part of? How much of it did she participate in? We don't ever know.
Well, remember we saw that Cinder showed up the first time, and Blake was technically there, but she didn't see any of the conversation. Adam lies to her about what was going on. That was right before she left it.
Because he mentions the train from the Black trailer.
My biggest issue with this relationship is that, like I said, it obviously very directly affects Blake's future relationships in that, literally, again, Adam cuts off Yang's arm, and they confront him together in volume 6. And I still maintain that scene is still good. I'm not saying it's perfect, but that scene on its own is good. It was a good moment for them. Again, it really is at the end of the day, like, Bumblebee does feel undercooked. That's why some people say it feels rushed, because if her relationship with Adam was actually like really bad, because the thing is, she doesn't actually imply that their relationship was necessarily super awful. It was really more that she just didn't like the person that he became. Right? It wasn't even necessarily, at least at the time, that he was even treating her poorly necessarily, right? At least that's the vibe I'm getting through this watch through, is these recent watch throughs, is that she doesn't really say anything about him actually being like abusive towards her in any way, right? Now, I'm not saying he didn't, but my point is, like,
she does talk about him like gaslighting her, mentally manipulating her, but like how much of that was in regards to their relationship and how much of that was the professional side of it.
The cause, yeah. And I'm not trying to defend him. We don't know. Like, he could have been that awful. I don't know. But my point is, like, whatever it is, if they're gonna use like a bad past relationship, that should be explored more and like inform how Blake acts going forward. And it doesn't really ever feel like that's the case. You know, like, I mean, we've talked about how Adam is just like underutilized and he gets jobbed really badly in volume 5, obviously, and that really hurts. So, you know, he had potential as, at least, you know, as a good villain, and he didn't turn out to be a great villain, unfortunately. So it's obviously that relationship's clearly dead because he's dead. So the next one I only have on here because somebody in the Discord told us to talk about it, Iron Crow, because apparently that one was popular back in the day. I never saw.
So it was popular for like a week when Volume 7 came out, because Crow and Iron would have like the like very gentle hug in Volume 7. But then literally the next episode introduced like the Clover Crow dynamic. That stole away all of Iron Crow's potential BL shippers.
Yeah. The next one is Martial Arcs, another gay one. This one I never was a fan of, and that is specifically because it would prevent Renora. So fuck this one. I'm not a fan. I mean, they do have the one scene together where Jean is asking Ren for advice when Ren's in the towel. So, I mean, I guess you could kind of consider that a little bit of BLTs.
The thing is, like, Jean's a hugger. Like, Jean hugs everybody. So
Yeah.
we do see instances of him like hugging Ren, and it always just throws me off because I fucking always forget how tall Jean is and how short Ren is.
Yeah, Ren's only 5'9" with his boots on, so he's like 5'7" or 5'8". He's actually not a tall guy. It's also because Nora's super short. Nora's like 5'1", I think, with her boots on. So Nora's like 5 foot, I think. She's very short.
I think Pyrrha's like average. I think Pyrrha's like 5'6".
6. No, she's 6.
5'6".
No, she is 6 foot. Pyrrha's 6 foot.
Oh, she's 6 foot. What?
She's 6 foot. Yeah.
I thought she was a lot shorter than
No,
Jean.
no, you can look it up. Pyrrha's 6 foot, I think.
Oh yeah, Jean's like 6'2".
Pyrrha's quite tall. That's the thing. I mean, they do have some decent interactions, but I don't see this one at all.
Jean does have an effeminate side, and Ren does kind of look like a girl sometimes. But like, there's nothing.
But in terms of how they act, there's nothing. That's the thing. Yeah.
They're both straight. They've never actually like hit on guys or hinted that they might been that way. But then again, maybe they haven't. I just haven't noticed.
Okay, now here's a BL ship that the show has definitely teased a lot in Chibi. Sea monkeys.
In Chibi.
I mean, let's be honest, dude. Neptune is flaming in Chibi. Like, that's one of the gayest Chibi, RWBY Chibi Neptune. One of the gayest characters I've ever seen in fiction, I think, honestly.
They go so over the top with you.
They
like,
do.
Carrie has so much fun doing
Oh, it's funny as hell. Yeah, no, it's funny. Chibi, I'm very excited the Chibi retrospective because Chibi was funny, man. I like everybody who makes fun of RWBY will always one of the biggest complaints is always like, how is RWBY Chibi better than RWBY? It is. It straight up is better.
It's better at doing the thing it sets out to do.
Which is, again, is to my point, like, RWBY should have had lower goals because Chibi achieves its goals very well, and RWBY as a show hasn't, really. Anyway, I mean, I see why this is a ship, especially because Chibi teased the fuck out of it, man. I kind of get it. I don't ship it, obviously. It's in the actual show, they don't act like that at all. Very clearly not. They are both very clearly straight in the actual show. Could you argue that maybe Neptune's covering up? Honestly, yes. I'm not saying there's any proof of that, but like if they said that was the case, could I see it? Yeah, definitely, because a lot of Neptune is very fake.
I mean, he tries to hit on Ilya. So I don't know how much of that you can fake.
To me, that actually backs up my point, because Ilya is so unattractive, and only a gay guy would not realize how unattractive she is. So
this is the agenda, guys.
it's part of his, attempt to cover it up is to hit on all the girls he sees, right? But he actually doesn't know how to judge the cuteness of girls, right? So he just sees Ilya as another girl that people know, so he tries to hit on her because he doesn't know that she's not attractive. So that's actually, in my headcanon, that proves that he might be gay.
New agenda unlocked.
In all seriousness, no, he has zero tendencies of being gay at all in the actual show. So I don't ship this at all. It's hilarious in chibi. I think it's funny as fucking chibi, but in the actual show, no, I don't see it. Speaking of Ilya, the next one we have is Reading Rainbows, Ilya X Blake, which we know this was at least canon from Ilya's side of things, but I think Ilya's a piece of shit. And as much as Blake is also kind of a piece of shit, I think Ilya's an even bigger piece of shit. And I don't think she should have been forgiven so easily in the show.
How much of a shit do you have to be to lose to Adam in the game of romance?
Well, again, I just talked about how unattractive she is, so that goes for part of it. Yeah, I mean, I don't personally even like that they added this in there. It felt, and I'm not saying it felt cheap, because
it makes the whole character arc kind of gross, and it also does this thing that it annoys me. RWBY does this. I've seen other shows do this. They just take a character who has been built up to have more dimensions to them, and then they just flanderize them into a one-dimensional character and give all of their potential plot progression to a female character. Ilya's whole deal in Volume 5 is what made me lose hope that Adam was ever going to be interesting again.
That's a big part of the problem. I would agree with that, unfortunately. Anything else to say on that one?
Nothing I haven't already said in my Valentine's Day specials.
Next one is Achilles' Heel, Cinder X Pyrrha, which...
Such a fucking... God damn it. I love this community so much. I will actually defend the RWBY fandom more times than not, because I've seen some bad fandoms. I've seen some obnoxious fandoms. I've seen some fandoms that are just disgusting. RWBY has never, even at its worst, has never been as bad as some of those. And when it's good, y'all are some funny motherfuckers.
Oh yeah, no, the RWBY fan, again, best ship names.
We have some fucking fantastic artists in our community. We have great fanfic writers in our community. We have a handful of decent, legit writers, myself included. If I can toot my own horn for a second.
Yeah, there you go, yeah.
The sheer quality of the fan content, I don't really like RWBY Evermorrow, but it's fine. Kudos to making it, and kudos to, got some good voice actors working for you. Raymond McNeil as Roman Torchwick is always a pleasure. Then you also have Dust Queen, which is fantastic. You have the Henceforward, which I didn't really like. That was, what was his name? I know Dishwasher did one. Henceforward was someone else. But, it was, another, fan comic. The RWBY anthologies, which were, officially produced through Rooster Teeth, but they were written by fan artists and fan comic makers. And so they're not canon, but they're all really good. It's good shit.
What's the current show that's coming out that's a fan show? I watched the first episode of it.
That was Dust Queen.
Dust Queen's great, man. That shit's good.
And of course, I will always go to bat for fixing RWBY and anyone's attempts to do, RWBY rewrite stuff. There does come a point where I think maybe y'all are wasting your effort on something not worth the effort, but hey, again, draw what you want to draw, write what you want to write, whatever tickles your fancy, whatever floats your boat, whatever inspires your muse, have at it. I can't judge. I'm not in any position to criticize you on what you want to do. I'll criticize, the execution. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of RWBY Evermorrow. That's another one where it's, MMD, animation. It's on YouTube, and it's an AU where the Fallen Beacon didn't happen, and Penny joins Beacon Academy alongside Ilya.
Let's check that one out then.
It's got our boy. It's got Raymond as Roman, and he's great. I will always defend you guys, and I'll always defend our fandom in the face of, people who try to claim that we have a terrible fandom or terrible fan community or terrible critic community. We're no, we do not. Because, just as an example, just an anecdotal example, the Demon Slayer movie came out a few months ago. The first Infinity Castle movie. And during a screening of that movie, there was a guy who got put in the hospital because he was pissing on a minor. He got so just hyped up into the bullshit of Demon Slayer that he dropped his pants, pissed on a kid, and then that kid's parents beat the fuck out of him. I don't see any of that kind of bullshit happening in RWBY. Y'all are better than that, and I am proud of you for, like, being better than the worst possible. That is a true story, by the way. I could not believe it.
Did that happen in the States, too?
Yeah, it happened here, stateside.
How does that even...
I don't know!
That doesn't even happen in other movies. It's so weird.
Well, what's the wife's line? Like, don't try to reason with the criminally insane?
yeah, there you go. I guess I'll go with that. All right, anyway, yeah. So, yeah, RWBY fandom's definitely... I haven't heard anything about that from the RWBY fan, that's for sure.
Achilles' heel. Y'all are fucking dark, too.
Yeah, it's funny. It's good. It's some good dark humor.
This is Cinder and Pyrrha, and like, yeah, they do have a dynamic. They both believe in destiny, or both claim to believe in destiny, but never actually let the chips fall where they may. Cinder goes out of her way to steal maiden powers, and Pyrrha uses her semblance to take fate into her own hands. And so they're both kind of hypocrites, and one of them's dead, and one of them is... God bless her. She's kind of adorable with how much of a fuck-up she is.
You talk about girl fails nowadays, and man, Cinder kind of is one, to be honest.
Oh my god, Chibi Cinder especially. The fucking dating app episode.
Chibi Cinder.
Her and Ty?
That, yeah. Oh god, we gotta go back and watch those. Oh, I can't wait for that. Anyway, next one is Crosshairs, which I know was a fairly popular one because Team Coffee was unreasonably popular, honestly. I mean, I like Coco's design a lot, but that team was very undercooked. I guess I kind of get why.
There's a lot more evidence in the book because they don't have any, like, real romantic things going on. In fact, if anybody is romantically entangled with Velvet, it's Yatsuhashi. But, like, Coco does hit on her, and Coco is confirmed in the book to be, like, bisexual, or at least, like, playfully so. Like she gets women suitors as well, like girls hitting on her, girls, like, fawning over her, and she'll, like, play into that as well. There is actually something there in the books. They're just not that great of characters. The book isn't all that great either. And, like, yeah, I get that it's popular. I get why it's popular. They are very good-looking characters. And Coco is the kind of person that will look good with anybody.
That part for sure. I agree with.
And, of course, everyone has the bunny girl fetish. Velvet scratches a very particular itch there that no other RWBY character does. Very few fictional characters actually do. Because so many bunny girls in anime and stuff have fake ears. Velvet's ears are real. Oh, God, and the book does make a bunch of multiplication jokes.
Nice, okay, I can appreciate that.
Like, apparently it's a common, like, racially charged thing to, like, ask rabbit faunus if they know how to multiply. No, it's just like, they let this writer get away with doing that. Not just once as a throwaway gag. It's like a thing throughout the entire book of Velvet getting harassed by these men, asking her if she knows how to multiply. So, like, I'm just gonna say it. Stereotypes tend to exist for a reason. I did also have Velvet have 10 kids in RWBY on, so...
You did it too.
I can't take any kind of moral high ground here. I'm part of the problem. I don't even fucking like these characters.
Yeah. Alright, so now we're getting back into some more popular ones that have, I would say, a little more basis, because we're getting back into the Team RWBY ships now for a bit. So we're going to start off with Freezerburn, which I think is one you've definitely talked about a decent amount.
Oh, I loved it in Volume 5. They're so good for each other.
So Freezerburn, that's Weiss and Yang, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Their scenes together in Volume 5 were some of the, honestly, probably the least bad parts. Actually, yeah, that was, I mean, we're going to watch that volume next, But I think that was the best part of Volume 5 was the Freezerburn stuff. So even, like, on a platonic level, like, they had a good dynamic. I really liked them together. Her character arc has made her, like, such a good person at this point that, like, you can see her making almost anybody a better person at this point, to be honest. Because she is the most, like, emotionally mature person at this point, honestly. She would pair well with a lot of people, I think, as a result, because she's kind of like one of the best people now. Like, not just best characters, but, like, actually genuinely acts, like, is a good person, you know, and helps people.
Yeah, and it also helps, like we said, she is very romantically active, more so than the other members of Team RWBY up until recently. And this is just maybe me reading into things, she does seem to be the most sexually frustrated of the four throughout the series.
I can see that.
Maybe that's just my version of her and RWBY on bleeding into like a headcanon version of Weiss that might not really exist on the screen. There is evidence. But yeah, her and Yang are just very cute together, very supportive. Weiss, especially given like Weiss's own prior history with Blake, which we'll get to here in a bit, she kind of was the perfect person to talk to Yang in that moment, especially since Weiss has been a victim of conditional love.
Oh, yeah.
And Blake hasn't, but Blake feels like she has. Because her only prior relationship was Adam, which was very conditional. It was conditioned on her staying loyal to the cause. And so Yang, who has nothing but unconditional love for all of her friends, at least that's always been my read, can't wrap her head around it, but Weiss is able to help her, like, understand that, and it's thanks to Weiss that Yang is able to accept it when Blake does show up at the end of Volume 5.
Yeah.
As far as just the two of them, there's just a lot of cute moments in Volume 5, and that's kind of it. That just ends up stringing along into the Blake stuff. I do like the hot and cold stuff. No, it's a fun dynamic. I like again, it's not canon, it's part of the fan anthology, but Weiss does call Yang hot.
Oh, does she? That's funny.
There's this whole bit, again, it's not canon because it was made by a fan. It was officially produced, so they did accept it as like a potential thing, where like Weiss gets self-conscious about her chest, and she asks Yang for advice. She's like, so, hot stuff? Any, tips? So it's something like that. It's really funny. It kind of feeds into Weiss's big sister complex. Which, yeah, Weiss kind of has a big sister complex that Yang would totally feed into.
Yeah.
Yang and Winter are both busty big sisters with short, younger sisters who are like 5 foot.
Yang definitely does act, even though it's funny they're the same age, but yes, Yang still feels like everybody's big sister. It's kind of funny. Like, she acts like everybody's big sister except for Ruby's, basically.
So fucked.
Which is so fucked, yeah. Alright, so the next one is Ladybug, which that is, if I'm not mistaken, that's Blake x RWBY, correct?
Yeah, there's just so not anything here.
There's nothing there.
Like, oh, they both like to read. Well, you know who else likes to read? Adolf Hitler. Couldn't even finish that joke without cracking up at the implication of Blake being shipped with fucking Hitler. Yeah, it's just not enough. Not enough to go off of. Like I talked about in the Volume 1 retrospective, there was a lot more potential there, with Blake being cynical, a little more world-weary, a little more exposed to the dark side of humanity through her Faunus heritage and her time with the White Fang, and so she could, like, pose an actual interesting challenge to RWBY's worldview, but then she doesn't, and Torchwick does instead. And then no one, like, really challenges RWBY intellectually until Volume 8, when it's fucking Yang of all people.
Fucking funny. Yeah, like, what was it like the first time Blake and RWBY actually had a conversation was in Volume 7?
It was Volume 8.
Oh my god, Volume 8.
There's a moment in Volume 6 that you can kind of count, maybe, but it's very, like, just moving the plot forward. It's in the Brunswick house during the apathy stuff. But, like, their first legit conversation where they, like, talk about things outside of just what's immediately going on is in Volume 8.
That shows you how this one's got nothing, basically. It's got no legs at all, unfortunately. Or fortunately, however you... I just don't see it because they haven't interacted, so, like, I don't see any dynamic, basically. They're the most undercooked, regardless of any... Obviously, there's no romantic implications between them whatsoever, but, like, even just, like, on a platonic friendship level, teammate level, they are very undercooked. Yeah, there's nothing there, honestly. I mean, I'm sure there might be some good fan art, but that would probably be it at the most. Next one is Monochrome, which is Weiss and Blake.
I miss being able to actually ship this one.
Do explain.
Because, again, you want to talk about ships with a story. What is a better story, a better love story, than Romeo and Juliet?
Yeah, once I figured it out, I was like, that's where you're going. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, there's an image years ago that I saw, and I tried to find it again recently. Go on, you can say your piece while I look for this.
I mean, I don't really even have much to say on this one, because obviously, yes, that backstory, I could see it. I could see it a lot more if they actually followed through on their disagreement and their whole plot point in volume 1. Like, for me, after that, I could never have seen this being a thing. After they just didn't follow through on Weiss holding Blake accountable and everything. Like, when Weiss just ended up saying, like, oh, I don't care. Like, okay, well, then there's no dynamic between them anymore after that point, to be honest. I mean, to me, there's more to this, obviously, than there is to Ladybug, because one of the things that has been good about the show and Weiss's character specifically is that as the show has gone on, I've said this before, I believe, that Weiss is always the first person to defend a Faunus or to defend Blake now. So she is putting her money where her mouth is. She's actually the brokest of all of them now, as I've said before, actually, technically, of the four of them at least. I doubt she's more broke than Renora, but she is, being a truly good person now. So I could see that kind of working in the ship's favor, but that's it. I can't see anything else for it at this point. Could I have seen this being like a popular thing, especially in volume 1, given, again, anytime characters have any feelings toward each other, even if that, especially actually if that's hate, I can see why people ship that. Like, this is why I ship Snowbird. I get it. This one, like, it would kind of be similar, but they just don't follow through. Like, the fact that they dropped the ball so hard on it, that just made it a nothing burger to me.
There's this really cute image, and hopefully I'll find it while editing, but it had, like, both of them as children, back to back, very, like, paralleled image. Yeah, they kind of, like, grew up on opposite sides of this conflict, and then finally, like, got exposed to the other side through each other, and both came out of it better people, allegedly. One of them certainly did, the other one up for debate. They're also, like, very cute together. The black and white color scheme is adorable. Again, like, Weiss just looks good with anybody. Like, the character designs in the show are just that good. But I love the kind of, like, clinginess or potential clinginess of this relationship, and how, like, they open up each other's worlds. Like, they open up each other's minds to, possibilities. Like, hey, just because Weiss is rich doesn't mean she had everything handed to her. She also had her own loneliness. She had a horrible childhood. And part of that was caused by the White Fang. Weiss learns to not be racist because of Blake. And like you say, she's always the first person to defend Faunus now. She's always the first person to defend Blake. And Blake is the first person to fucking defend her against Jacques.
Oh,
like, Blake is the one who reaches and grabs her hand when Jacques is berating her. And trying to, like, gaslight her into, like, or guilt trip her. Like, your mother was so devastated when you left. Like, and Blake instantly, like, just squeezes her hand really tightly. It's really adorable. Like, these two are, like, besties in a different way. Like, certainly in a different way for Weiss than RWBY is. But as far as Blake goes, like, in the hypothetical situation where Blake and Yang get married and they both have, like, maids of honor, Weiss is definitely going to be Blake's maid of honor.
Yeah, that I could see.
And that would kind of leave RWBY to be Yang's, which works. Makes sense. I do get the feeling that Weiss is a lot closer to Blake than she is with Yang, which also may have helped her talk Yang down and get Yang to understand Blake's side of things. They do have this very unspoken, it's a very unspoken dynamic, very unspoken relationship with the way that these are also two characters that, like, canonically hang out off screen.
That's true.
When there's not shit to do, they will actively go and get coffee/tea together. They don't even go to see Kira's big fight in the final festival tournament fight because they've had enough action and they just want to, like, chill out and hang out.
True.
And then the fucking Fall of Beacon happens and they have to fight side by side, back to back against manifestations of their own fucked up childhoods. Also, Ice Queendom.
Yeah. Yo, God, yeah.
Very romantically coded there. Honestly, this is part of the reason why I can just ship Weiss with everybody. She tells Jean to, like, be a good boy and get back in your cage. She's constantly calling RWBY, like, her most precious person.
Yeah.
She doesn't know what to make of Blake, so she gives her a whole ass fucking mansion in her subconscious and imagines her as this, like this more extreme version of a Faunus. Very cute. That Blake's on her mind a lot in that section, and that Blake being on her mind is what's causing the Ice Queen to be so fucked up. Just as much so as Nightmare Grim.
That's true, especially in Ice Queendom. There's a lot for this ship in there, actually, in fairness. That's a good point, honestly.
Yeah, there's a lot of monochrome and a lot of White Rose. And also, in the second half, it just turns into White Knight propaganda.
Yes, then it does do that too, which is great. For that.
All I'm saying throughout this whole podcast is that if anybody in this show deserves a harem, it's Weiss.
I mean, she's the best character, so by that logic, I'll back you up on that.
Weiss kind of is a harem protagonist. She kind of does act like
She does kind of act like one, actually, in fairness. I can't even argue with that. Okay, next one is Willow X Shock, which is now dead. So, moving on.
Again, we don't need to find out anything about this goddamn backstory.
We got what we needed.
If they're ever going to do it in like a novelization, and I'll read it.
You know, they already admitted that he married in for the name.
And gaslit and manipulated her into thinking otherwise until Weiss's 10th birthday when he went full mask off.
I've already talked enough about, you know, how much I sympathize with Willow and all that. So, you know, I'm sure she's happy he's dead. Good for her.
Oh, speaking of Jacques, though, that does add another wrinkle into the monochrome dynamic. Because what'll piss a guy like Jacques off? Weiss marrying a girl. What else will piss him off?
Weiss
marrying a faunus. What'll piss him off the most? Marrying a faunus girl who used to be part of the White Fang.
Yeah, true. He wouldn't like Jean either, though, so, you know, he wouldn't like anybody.
Well, now he's dead, so it doesn't matter.
Well, next one is entire team.
Summer was absolutely pegging Raven.
I know that's your new headcanon after seeing the Volume 9 thing.
Raven is such a cocky, smarmy bitch throughout Volumes 4 and 5. And just to see her fucking fold like that from one little lip from Summer, it's like, oh my god. The amount of bottom energy I'm getting from this. And, like, I don't even have real experience with this. Even I can smell it through my screen. But, yeah, the Team Stark memes have always been a thing ever since even before we knew the team was called Team Stark. Just from, like, oh, Ty canonically banged Raven and Summer. Like, that's confirmed because of Yang's backstory halfway through Volume 2. All he's missing is Crow, so that was the meme. All he's got to do is bang Crow and he gets all the Infinity Stones, gets all the Stark Gems. It's all the Pokemon badges. But then, you know, there's the fan comic that I fucking love. And someone actually just sent it to me again. That kind of like started it. But then, yeah, just seeing the way that Crow talks about Summer and seeing the little bit of Summer and Ty's relationship we got in Volume 9 and then seeing Summer and Raven dynamic for the first time and just knowing what we know about Ty and Raven and the Bronwyn twins being, in Oobleck's words, interesting, and in Port's words, that didn't stop young Ty. And then apparently that's like it gets so dirty that Ty was like, come on man, she's right here, even though she's 18 at that point. So like, they be fucking.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty obvious.
And I will say that until it is explicitly stated otherwise. And even then I'll be like, they could be lying. They could be lying to save face.
To be brutally honest, I don't see it, but if it did happen to be true, I guess I wouldn't be super surprised. I can see why it's your headcanon, though.
This is just all shits and giggles for me. I don't think the writers would go in that. I don't think the writers would even touch on that.
Next is Falling Petals, which I believe is that Ruby X Cinder?
Cinder and Ruby. I wrote a fanfic on this. Once upon a time, thanks to High Power pestering me.
I mean, I knew this one was popular, but there you go.
Similar to Snowbird, when there's intense emotions, people like to ship it. I don't like hero villain ships, just generally speaking. It's not my thing.
No, I don't either.
But like, God, Cinder, just get a room with this hate boner. It's a pretty hateful boner.
In fairness, it is. She is very obsessed with Ruby. That is true. So, I mean, I don't think this is, you know, anything about where it's going, but I can see why people would think about it because Cinder spends a lot of time thinking about Ruby. That is very true. I'm not saying I can't see it at all. It's not something I'm into, but I get why people would ship it. I get why people would be into it because, yeah, there's intense emotion from both sides, especially on Cinder's end, man. Like, what about the girl? Like, she's always asking about Ruby. How can we get Ruby? Like, she really wants Ruby. She wants her dead, but she wants her. Okay, next one is Enabler, which we have to at least mention because...
We're mentioning all the RWBY ships.
I did hear a lot about it back in the day, in the earlier days of RWBY. I'm not gonna lie, I do remember people talking about it a lot. I was never into it. I also think it's even worse now because Yang is just not really acting like a sister, so I don't see even from like, I just don't see it. Just don't see it at all, man.
We've been kind of starved for quality RWBY Yang moments.
Like, even on a fully platonic, normal sister-sister relationship, they don't even have that right now, for fuck's sake, man. Yang's gotta be a much better sister, dude. Like, she's gotta work on that.
Like earlier on, I did like them. I liked how into Ruby Yang was. Like in tune with Ruby Yang was. It's kind of why so many people were like, oh, Yang's become a bad sister, because, like, I don't buy the same Yang we got in volumes 1 and 2 being so ignorant of Ruby's mental anguish in volume 9.
I agree.
I've tried to, like, go to bat for her about, like, oh, she keeps getting interrupted by the plot, but, like, there's downtime off screen too. And very clearly, Yang didn't utilize that.
I think that's very obvious. And it's unfortunate, like, because at the beginning, like, especially like in the music too, like Gold, for example, we talked about it. Lots of good dynamic of Yang having to basically be Ruby's mom and that kind of stuff. And I wish that was touched on a little bit more and discussed more, and that was a bigger deal. But then it's just never really get any deeper into their relationship, which I feel like we should, because we got hints and teases of like what Yang had to do to be a good sister and all this kind of stuff. And so it's very unfortunate that, like, I think she was probably a really great sister at one point. That's what it seemed like. That's what we were teased with. And then now it's like she's not like that at all. So that's very frustrating.
Yeah, again, like, Ice Queendom even makes the implication that she's too involved with Ruby. And Ty's the one who tells her, like, hey, this is the chance to, like, let her be her own person. Like, force her to, like, kind of stand up on her own 2 feet. You're coddling her too much. And Weiss also calls her out on that in Ice Queen. Like, you're just always coddling her. Like I said, my number one desire for Volume 10 is addressing the Yang stuff with Ruby. Like, actually doing something with that. Fix the problem. Fix this issue, because it's gonna end up bringing the whole show down if they don't. No matter how good the rest of the stuff is, this is going to hang like the sword of Damocles over the neck of the show if they don't fix this. If they don't fix what's broken here. Especially with, like, this being a coming-of-age story, and Yang's alleged motivation is trying to get wrapped up in crazy adventures, and part of that allegedly stemming from her spending so much of her adolescent life being the responsible one, being responsible for Ruby being a surrogate mom to her. And as much as Ruby probably appreciates that, it's also, like, how much does Yang actually believe in her? How much of it is her? She wants people to believe in her, just like her issue with Weiss. And Yang hasn't really shown that. Weiss and Blake have. Yeah, even Blake has shown that. She genuinely believes in Ruby. Yang hasn't, really. The most we got was in Volume 5 when she was like, I'm sticking around so long as Ruby's sticking around. That's it. But that is not as relevant because it's not as recent as the Volume 8 stuff where Yang openly challenged Ruby's authority and tried to, like, undermine her. Ruby and Yang are going to have to discuss that at some point if they're going to have a functioning relationship into adulthood and actually, like, grow up. And they should maybe kind of have the Renora treatment more than Renora.
Yes.
They have been together all their lives, and even though they are their own independent people, they have their own interests and stuff, they haven't really been forced to, like, grow up. They haven't been forced to leave that childhood era behind. That's something that needs to happen.
The hang-ups that the show thinks Red and Nora have are actually closer to what the hang-ups that Ruby and Yang have than anything else. Definitely more than Red and Nora have them, that's for sure.
Like, so much of Yang's identity being tied to her strength because she's the one who was always defending Ruby and beating up bullies for Ruby, and she can't do that anymore, and Ruby's growing up, and Ruby's gonna surpass her someday, yada yada yada. Like, you could do so much with that.
You can. Will they?
We'll see.
Okay, anyway, I think that's enough about that one, right? Final two, kind of some silly ones. Cougar, which is Callie-X's son.
Stacy's mom has got it going on.
I definitely see this one partly because of just how similar Callie and Sun are to each other. Like, their personalities are so similar. Obviously, like, it's not something that I'd ever want to actually have happen because that'd be fucked up. But I get why, like, people think it's funny and why people like it, because they do have such similar energies and, like, vibes together. So, like, yeah, they're very similar people, which makes sense given that Gear is more like Blake and Callie's, more like an opposites attract to him, So that kind of makes sense. And also, everybody loves Callie Milfadonna, so she's very shippable, I guess, in that sense. But as a funny crack ship, it's funny. I get it, but I wouldn't ever want that to happen because I actually like, Callie and Gear seem very happy together, so that would be fucked. I don't think Sun would ever do that either, to be honest. I don't think he's that kind of guy. He's not Neptune. I could see Neptune trying to do that more than I could ever see Sun trying to do that, to be honest.
This is just funny joke. A lot of RWBY ships are just for the shits and giggles. Crack ships. Lot of crack ships. A lot of also, like, cross-universe shit. Like, I've actually been seeing a lot of, what's her name from fucking Kill la Kill and RWBY together. It's fun.
And then last, Fallen Knight, which is Cinder x Jean, which is funny because, I mean, again, there's emotion there on Jean's end a little bit.
At least there was in Volume 5.
I just also think this one's kind of funny, like, even the idea of it, because didn't Cinder give him, like, the who are you treatment?
I remember you now. You're the idiot who doesn't realize he's out of his league.
Which is not wrong. Okay, now, as a quick little speed run, I want to give my little shout out to the RWBY community, even though I will talk shit sometimes. I do agree with media that this is definitely not the worst fandom out there. Also, I think a lot of times when people demonize, like, fandoms, a lot of times the fandom's actually fine. People just don't like people liking weird things, and then they get weirder about it than the people who like the weird stuff. Like, I'm not gonna, complain about anybody shipping anything. The only complaint I ever make is when I see so many people shipping Rose Garden, just because I think that's, like, people actually wanting that to come true in the show, that I disagree with because of how bad of a character Oscar is. But, I will never, ever try to silence anyone's free speech and try to, stop people from doing their fan art or whatever stuff they want to do, of course. That's the only one that, like, I'm, like, strongly in disagreement of. And it's only because I hate Oscar so much. I think the fandom, though, is amazing at the fucking fandom names for the ship names in this show are fucking top tier, honestly. They're not always perfect, but some of them are really good. So I'm going to go through some of my favorites right now. Alcoholics Anonymous, which is Willow Schnee x Crow. Fucking fantastic. Gotta love that one. Black Metal, which is Blake x Mercury. Just Black Metal. Fucking great name.
They haven't even interacted.
It's so funny. Fucking funny name, though. People complain about Black Sun as a name. Like, do you realize, like, Black Hole Sun is, like, one of the most famous songs from the 90s? How do you not, like, who doesn't remember that? How do you not think that's a great name? That's an amazing name just from that song. Like, there's no way that's not the reason for the name. That has to be where the name comes from. Because of the generation of the age of most people were when they first watched the show. People who first watched the show, most of the fans would have known Black Hole Sun. I mean, it's the song. Isn't it the song you played during your first shipping video where you talked about it? You played Black Hole Sun, like, because it's that obvious. Velvet X Yatsuhashi, I don't know why it's called this. The ship name is Cinnabon, which is fucking great. Love that.
So that is because Yatsuhashi is named after a candy that I believe is made out of cinnamon.
Combat Boots, which is Yang X Mercury, which I've already said Yang should have the combat boots, so that should already be a thing. Yang X Jean is called Dragon Slayer.
I fucking love that. I always remember the fucking SAO bit, or SAO abridged bit. Like, oh, is he taking his Excalibur to slay the dragon within? What's the dragon in this metaphor? Chlamydia.
I have 3 favorite ship names of all time. One of them, which is not as official anymore, so I'm just going to say it now so I don't forget, which is Banana Split, which I think somebody in our group came up with, actually. I think as the poly ship of Blake, Sun, and Yang. Someone called it Banana Split because the actual ship name that's, like, more official in the fandom is terrible, unfortunately. Banana Split is way funnier. The other one, Baked Alaska.
It's Yang and Neo. That's, again, like, they fucking hate each other. Like, they be fucking.
That's hilarious, though, because, like, a Baked Alaska is, like, ice cream that's, like, on fire. That is literally what a Baked Alaska is, if I'm not mistaken. Like, it has to do with fire and ice cream. Fucking hilarious. That is one of the best, funniest fucking ship names. It is so fucking good. I love that. Is fucking SSS plus tier. Another one that I only just found today, though, that I did tell media a few minutes ago. Firewall, which is the ship between Cinder and Arthur Watts. Called Firewall. That is so good. It's so fucking peak. That actually rivals Baked Alaska for top tier ship names. Firewall. And actually, they do fucking hate each other, so, there's something there. But that's so fucking funny. Weiss X Adam is called Frostbite. Yeah, that's kind of funny. Roman X Neo is called Gelato. of course, that's pretty good too.
That's clever, but like in a very, I could have thought of that way.
Not as good as Firewall. I like this one. Crow X Robin is called Jailbirds because they're both birds and they got arrested. They were in jail cells together. That's kind of funny.
That's another one that's like really funny, really clever, but very hinged. Firewall is unhinged, which is why I laugh so much.
Here is a great fucking ship name, and it's very unhinged. Penny X Adam, Mechanical Bull.
Oh my god.
That's a fucking hilarious name. Come on. That is a fucking hilarious ship name. That is like the last ship in the universe that I'd ever want to have happen, but boy is that name fucking hilarious. I do also love the ship name for Blake X Ren, which is Ninjas in Love. Because Ninjas of Love reference, fucking fantastic. Gotta love that. Neo X Watts is called Umbrella Academy. That's a good one too. Crow X Tyrion is called Alcohol Poisoning. All the alcohol jokes are always fucking funny to me. Crow X Oscar is called Elric Brothers.
Okay, that's
pretty. I mean, it's not wrong. I don't think I should have to explain that, should I?
No. I do feel the need to point out that Vic Mignogna no longer voices Crow, it's now Jason Libre.
I know, but it's still funny. Yang X Emerald is called Mommy Issues. Cinder X Penny is called Overheating.
I see the vision.
Neapolitan X Emerald is Spumoni. That's actually pretty clever too.
I don't get that one, but I get that is something. That's something.
So what Spumoni is, it's a type of ice cream.
I mean, I figured that if it's a Neo ship.
It's chocolate, cherry, and pistachio. So there you go. That's why that's funny. So that's pretty good, honestly. I like that. Neapolitan X Ruby is strawberry shortcake. That's a good one, though. And then one of my favorites, Ruby X Nora is called Sugar Rush.
That's a great one. That's a classic.
That is a fucking great one. There's some pretty fucking good ones, honestly. There are other funny ones. I don't want to go through all of them, but interestingly, on this list, for some reason, they don't have Enabler on here.
It's because people just want to make it weird.
They have other weird ones. That's the thing.
Just like with the lack of a team attack for Ruby and Yang in Volume 2, admitting it just further highlights that you're being weird about it. You're reading too much into the actual validity of the ships, and you're not having fun with it.
Well, no, but my point is that they've got arguably even weirder ships on this list than that one, and yet they don't have that one. I'm just surprised if, I was just curious if that's still the official name for it.
It's the most common one. I've also heard Strawberry Sunrise.
Yeah, I think the fandom is very good at funny fucking ship names. They have overall done an excellent job of that.
Yeah. All right. So wrapping it up here. Thank you all for watching. I enjoyed talking about this. I enjoyed shooting the shit and talk about these names. Some of these were the first time that I had heard the ship names. Keep doing what you're doing. As far as like making the stuff. Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Join us next time when we return to your regularly scheduled retrospective series.
I just hope we actually get some new news soon, honestly. Like, it's been a while now that, I hope we get something.
Even if it's just, another manga adaptation, which, by the way, fucking Viz, Volume 3 manga win.
Oh, yeah, huh? That's true.
You stopped at Volume 2. We don't have another version of Volume 3. Get on it. I like the improvements you made to Volume 2, so keep on doing what you're doing. Anyway, so yeah, join the Discord, follow me on Twitter, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you all next time.